729.
After damning politicians uphill and down dale for many years as rogues, vagabonds, frauds, and scoundrels, I sometimes suspected, like everyone else, I often expect too much of them.
You know, they used to say Abraham Lincoln got the worst press. I said, there's no way he got worse than me.
Anyway, I am very willing to let the American public judge my physical and mental my physical as well as my mental fitness.
This is how you conduct yourself in a democracy.
You never want a serious crisis to go to waste. And what I mean by that, it's an opportunity to do things that you think you could not do before.
Joey Clark.
Welcome into News and Views in the afternoon. I'm your host, Joey Clark. We've got the press conference for the Riverfront Brawl coming up at 1 p.m., but now, as is tradition, kicking off Tuesdays here on News and Views, we have the one, the only Judge Andrew Napolitano joining us. Judge, how are you this afternoon?
I'm great, Joey. How are you, my dear friend?
I'm doing quite well, and, I thought Montgomery was not going to be the center of attention, at least after Friday night, because Trump was here in Montgomery. And right after that indictment, I thought at least, okay, the ISR on, that is the corporate press, it'll move on to something else. And then this Riverfront Brawl happens here in our dear city, Montgomery, Alabama. In your time on the bench, in your time, studying the law, are there any particular cases that come to mind? And how do you even begin to adjudicate something like this with this many people involved?
Well, I mean, it's really the task of the government, which is the police and their investigators. Today, using cell phone data, when I was on the bench, there weren't cell phones, but using cell phone data, which is extraordinarily helpful in telling whether people are taking selfies or making videos, or the data is just showing where people moved and how they moved about. So the government has the task of determining who are the defendants and against whom can they prove a case beyond a reasonable doubt and presenting that to the court. Now, this is done in a series of steps. Sometimes you find 2 or 3 people that were involved and you cut a deal with them. Tell us who else you know was involved and we'll go easy on you. Instead of 5 years in jail, you're going to get 6 months, or instead of 2 years in jail, you'll get just probation. So the government has a variety of techniques available to it, which the courts have upheld, pardon me, Joey, which will allow it to gather evidence. But these cases are very difficult to try. I mean, do you try them all at once if there's 10 defendants, or you try them separately? The government wants to try them separately, because if you try them all at once, everybody's pointing fingers at everybody else and the jury's confused and throws up their hands. If you try them separately and you have enough evidence to convict, and you do this over and over again, you can get a series of convictions. And then after a few convictions, you try your best cases first, you'll then start to get guilty pleas as the others realize, I better cut a deal because look at what just happened to my buddy.
Well, and again, folks, the mayor of Montgomery, Stephen Reed, and Chief Daryl Albert of the Montgomery Police Department would be doing a press conference here at 1 p.m. Central Time. We'll be bringing that live.
I mean, I'm speaking to you generically. I don't know exactly what happened. I heard there was some sort of a riot there, and then my producer told me that you wanted to talk about it.
Yeah, well, it looks like these were guys, it was a pontoon boat blocking a riverboat that had something like 200 people on it, about, weighs 500,000 pounds, and they have a designated space down on Montgomery's riverfront for the Harriet II, as it's called. The captain called the show yesterday, and he said there are guys in a pontoon boat, and he actually has known them in past seasons, are kind of boisterous, drunk idiots, and they crossed a line, attacking his first mate. And so seeing 6 white fellas attacking his black first mate, everybody in the area reacted to that, especially his shipmates. Some jumped in the water to swim to help, and that's the mayhem you see on all the internet videos now.
Oh, I'm sorry this happened. Was anybody seriously injured?
Thank God, no, not that I've heard of. There were moments where a guy actually took a big plastic folding chair and was just it looked like a WWE wrestling match. I was just talking to some colleagues, and the internet always wins. And I think my colleague just said, us in the black community, we have a lot of stuff we try to get through that worries us, but we try to get through it with a little bit of humor, and hope is the best way. And I think hopefully that'll be the message coming out of this. But it's just a weird thing. How difficult does it become when you're saying doing a case like this, or it's something, say, like a former president like Donald Trump? If you're the judge in a case that has massive media coverage, how do you even go about dealing with that?
Ignorant of the media. In state court, you really don't get to decide for yourself if you want cameras in the courtroom. It would depend on the policy of the state, and if the newspapers or the television, well, it wouldn't be newspapers, if the television companies make an application, if you deny it, you're going to be overruled. In federal court, there are no cameras, period. It doesn't even pay to make the application. When the cameras are there, we're in state court now, they're so small and they're so silent, you forget that they are there. You're not going to see the sort of preening for re-election that Judge Lance Ito was accused of during the OJ trial. In these federal trials of the president, he has one criminal trial so far in state court in New York. Cameras are allowed. He has 2 federal criminal trials, Mar-a-Lago and January 6th. Cameras are not allowed. So the judge will just be oblivious. Judges are human beings. They read newspapers, they watch television, they go on the internet, but the judge should be oblivious to any public pressure. It's one of the reasons in the federal system and in New Jersey, not in every state, it's only 3 states that do this besides the federal system, you get lifetime tenure. So you don't care what the public thinks in terms of keeping your job. You don't run for re-election. You don't need to be reappointed. You don't have to please the political powers that be, or even the pollsters. You just do the right thing, which is really what everybody wants when it comes to justice. You want a judge on the bench who's worried about re-election. You want a judge on the bench who's going to do the right thing for the Constitution, for the defendant, and for the government.
Wow. And it's, this is the direction I'm going to go. And again, folks are talking to Judge Andrew Napolitano. You can always go to judgenap.com and check out his latest op-eds and video clips, or just search for Judging Freedom on YouTube and wherever podcasts are available. It's a fantastic show, folks. It makes me happy to see it growing over this last year or two. But like I said at the beginning of our discussion here, Judge, Donald John Trump was in Montgomery Friday night. A normal Alabama GOP dinner has 300, 400 people, maybe 500. There was 2,700 people, probably plus a little overflow. It was a massive crowd. Coach Tuberville, Senator Tuberville, introduced Trump, and he's fighting the good fight, is undeterred. But I have sat here on these radio airwaves over the stream and talked to you, and you are saying, as Judge Andrew Napolitano, Donald Trump, do not mock the prosecutors. Do not mock the process. And then Trump comes to Montgomery and goes, we just need one more indictment, and the election's over, folks. We got this thing in the bag. What do you make of his behavior and how he is just outright taunting these indictments?
Not a bad imitation, Joey. That's the first comment that I have to make. It's an excellent one. My friend and colleague Brett Baer does the best. He claims he'll never do it on air. The best Donald Trump imitation I've heard, but yours is quite good. It rivals his. Look, there's an old phrase, and I think this might be an Alabama phrase. You'll understand it. You don't taunt the alligator until after you cross the stream. I mean, it is just insane to taunt people who have the power to bring about your ruination. Now, the people he's taunting are highly professional and not likely to be moved by that. But in areas where they have total discretion to make judgments, they're human beings. So why give them ammunition? I mean, if he gets what he wants, which is to return to the White House, he will be the chief law enforcement officer in the federal government. And he's mocking the system. Look, the system is not always perfect. You've heard me rip into the FBI. My column this week is about the FBI spying on itself. How's that?
Wow.
It's the latest FBI revelation. I won't even tell you how this happened. You'll see it in the column. You'll have the column shortly. But there's a lot to be desired in federal law enforcement, but it is clearly far better to resist the government's push against him by normal legal means than by these political means, because his lawyers won't be able to deal with it. One of the reasons a lot of lawyers have left him is because he makes his cases worse. He doesn't take their advice, and they have to deal with this in a public courtroom. I mean, who's he going to attack next? The judge?
Right.
He's already said he can't get a fair trial. That is an extreme allegation to make against a life tenure judge without any basis whatsoever. He doesn't need that. Maybe he thinks by taunting these people, they'll bend over backwards to show that they are impervious to his taunts, and he'll get some favors from them. Forget about it. The feds are not going to give you a favor, and a life tenured judge is not going to give you a favor. The feds are going to do everything they can lawfully and morally to win, and a life tenured judge is going to do what, in her opinion, the Constitution and the laws require. No more and no less.
Well, and you just mentioned that President Trump has had a lot of difficulty keeping good help or finding good help after he treats some lawyers, though. Am I wrong to be impressed with John Laro, or however you say his name? He seems like a very capable guy, at least in the media appearances I've watched.
He admitted every allegation against Trump and says he has legal defenses to them. That is a catastrophic thing to do. The government's going to play those tapes to the jury. You see that man sitting there at the defense table next to Donald Trump, his lawyer for the past 6 months? Watch this. Trump did this, Trump did that. He didn't think it was wrong. It was aspirational. It wasn't legal. He's a charming guy. He's very good looking. He's soft spoken. He's unflusterable. In that respect, he has many natural talents and assets. But I thought, and I listened to most of them on Sunday, that round robin that he did with just about every major network really made the prosecutors salivate.
See, and this is why I ask you. I have no legal training whatsoever, folks. So this is why I asked the judge.
You know, Joey, people like you, intelligent, influencer, mover of the dial, millions look up to you because of your work on the media. It's aimed at them. I don't think this was aimed at the judge or aimed at people like me or aimed at the Circuit Court of Appeals. It's aimed at potential jurors and movers and shakers and influencers. And in that field, he did quite well. But people like I am, lawyer, former judge, television analyst, legal scholar, whatever you want to call me, see these things a little differently. I tried to see it through the eyes of the prosecutor once I heard him first admit Trump's behavior. Remember, all these First Amendment defenses that he elevated, they are profound, sound, lawful, moral, ethical, constitutional defenses. But they're for the judge. They're not for the jury. He doesn't get to argue freedom of speech before the jury. He only gets to argue it before the judge months before the trial. And after he loses those arguments, and he will, what does he have left? Nothing.
So a jury doesn't get to hear a theory like that. They just have to stick to like matters of fact?
Correct. The judge will say, there's no First Amendment defense here. Proceed with the trial. Okay, what is your defense then? If there's no First Amendment defense, why tip your hand to the feds? The feds have to tip their hand to defense counsel. Defense counsel never has to tip his hands to the feds. Mr. Lauro, as articulate and attractive as he is, showed his cards to the feds.
Well, and we'll see what happened. I maintain that Trump's taunting, and a lot of this is what you suggested Mr. Lauro was doing, is it's a political defense, and we'll see how it shakes out. But speaking of the First Amendment, your op-ed last week was fantastic. If you believe me, I think yesterday I went on a heck of a rant yelling and screaming about we've given up on natural law and natural rights, and we've given into the legal positivists. And I don't know how many people understood what I was saying, but I think you, of all people, certainly do, and much better than I even understand it. And talking about the First Amendment here in this country, I think it's good to underline for folks, what's the difference between, say, a natural right like the freedom of speech or something like a privilege, like a civil right like voting and whatnot?
So a right comes from our humanity. Your right to think as you wish and say what you think and offer what you say. A privilege comes from the government, like voting or a driver's license to drive your vehicle on a government roadway. The government can't create rights. The government sometimes thinks it can, because rights come from our humanity. So the First Amendment says, in part, Congress shall make no law abridging the freedom of speech. Madison, who wrote the First Amendment, was adamant that the word "the" precede freedom of speech, the freedom of speech, so as to demonstrate to posterity the view of the framers that freedom of speech pre-existed the government. Well, if it pre-existed the government, where did it come from? In Madison's view, it's a natural right. It comes from our humanity, which is a gift from God. So if there is no First Amendment, do we still have the freedom of speech? Well, if you believe in positivism, the law is only that which has been written down by the lawgiver and ratified by the lawgiver. There would be no freedom of speech. But if you believe in natural rights, we have the right to speak freely, whether the law recognizes it in writing or not. That's the introduction to my broadside against the government, attempting to accomplish indirectly what the First Amendment unambiguously prohibits it from doing directly, which is infringing upon or abridging the freedom of speech because of its content. Whose freedom of speech did they abridge? People that wanted to criticize the vaccines. They went to Facebook and said, get rid of this stuff on your bulletin board, and we'll make nice to you. And Facebook did it. So that's Facebook doing the government's bidding. When Facebook does that, when Facebook discriminates on the basis of content because the government wants it, the courts will impose the First Amendment on Facebook. Now, right now, Facebook could take me down because of the color of my hair or my nationality or whatever I say. If the First Amendment is applied to Facebook, they can't take me down. They are treated as if they were the government. So they're going to lose the privacy aspect of their bulletin board if they keep doing the government's bidding. And the government, there's no end to the government's creativity for violating the Constitution. Absolutely no end to it. This nonsense about trying to do indirectly what the Constitution expressly prohibits it from doing directly should result in people being prosecuted. It never does.
Well, and the most unnerving thing about our times, or at least one of them, is when I look at the Constitution, I look at the Declaration, I read, say, great histories like Conceived in Liberty by Murray Rothbard, or I think back to my natural law classes and 12 years of Catholic school, that this government resembles none of that. Yes. And so what type of government do we have? And that seems like nobody wants to answer that with a straight face. They like having it sort of opaque.
Well, we have a government that thinks it can right any wrong and regulate any behavior and tax any event and insinuate itself in any process. The Constitution be damned. We have a government that bribes the rich with bailouts and the middle class with tax cuts and the poor with wealth transfers. We have a government that bribes the states to get them to do things that the federal government is expressly prohibited from doing under the Constitution. And we have a government that uses a carrot and a stick to get private entities to do what it can't do. What's next? Private jails with torture? Because the Eighth Amendment prohibits torture, the government will pay somebody else to do the torturing? They don't care about the Constitution, no matter the oath that they take.
Well, I've
taken a little bit of a rant. I apologize. I didn't mean to speak so quickly.
I love it. And I throw one last thing, and I want to hear what you have on judging freedom coming up. Do you think it's a true statement or a plausible statement if I say the one founder who'd probably look at the government we have today and understand it and maybe like it would be Hamilton?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So.
There were some decent parts to him. He did believe in an independent judiciary, but remember, he wanted George Washington to be the king. He would have been George the Fourth. Can you imagine that? Oh my God!
Goodness gracious! Yeah, like he wanted the unwritten British Constitution. Yeah.
Yeah. He's also responsible for the first National Bank of the United States, which is the great grandfather of the cursed, hateful, brutish, monstrous Federal Reserve.
Well, I got to say real quick, I have my regular psychic's not here, but my other psychic, Sky Mosley, is here. He's a huge fan of yours.
Yes, I am.
And he's sitting over here pumping his fist, nodding his head.
Give him my best.
In the Fed,
tell him I love him.
And what do you have coming up on Judging Freedom?
I have my tent pole. I have the person that draws the highest ratings for me. Colonel Douglas McGregor, as soon as I finish with you, almost at 2 o'clock Eastern, and of course I'll be posted forever, but live 2 o'clock Eastern. In retrospect, why did the American government underestimate the Russians and overestimate the Ukrainians? I think he's going to say because the CIA stinks. I'm not sure.
Well, that is must watch. I will be watching this afternoon when I get done here. So always appreciate your time, Judge. Again, folks, Judge Andrew Napolitano.
All the best, my man. Till next week.
Till next week. Again, always great to have the judge on the program. At least it just makes Sky happy, but it makes me very happy too.
Probably the wisest man in the business.
Yeah, it's great to be able to bring these conversations with the judge to, well, this local talk show. Though I have to say thank you, and I don't know to who, but number one, let's say thank you to the captain of the Harriet too for calling in yesterday.
Right on time.
And so I grabbed that clip, Sky, of his call-in and his interview and him describing from his perspective. This is all I asked him to do, just from your perspective, describe what happened that day. And he gave it in great detail. Last I checked, over 20,000 people have watched that 12-minute clip on Facebook. 46,000 people have watched it on Twitter. It is weird being at the center of the media storm for more than just, say, a President Trump visit. But I appreciate everybody sharing this, and I really appreciate the captain calling in, Captain Jim, and giving us his perspective on that. I think it adds information. It's not the whole story, but it adds pretty damn good information to what's being put out there these days.
Especially the captain's take on this not being a racial incident. It's very important.
My sense of what he was saying there is that he was talking about his fellas, like his shipmates, his team on the Harriet too.
Who are black and white.
Right, and that everybody was looking out for one another, I think was his point. I don't know, I mean, who knows what the hell the motivation is of the folks who were in the pontoon boat. Maybe they were just drunk, maybe they did have some animus, I don't know. There are some reactions and comments on Facebook that might suggest that animus, so.
Well, people are always going to...
Yeah, it is what it is.
It's just the way, like you said.
Oh, but I guess folks might notice here, I've got my folding chair ready.
You like that? I thought you might appreciate that. I want you to be ever ready in case a melee breaks out.
Yeah, we now have, and I've got the chair and I've got my paddle. Like, I've got both of them right behind me here. I'm ready to go, folks. If things go down here at Blue Water Broadcasting, watch out.
Yeah.
272-9228. This part of the program, well, brought to you by the Alabama Gazette, but we're going to let Sky tell you more about that.
That is your hometown conservative newspaper, the Alabama Gazette, always published under the banner of God, family, and country. The Alabama Gazette supports pro-life, pro-family, pro-America, and they always have. Coming up October 1st, the Alabama Gazette will celebrate their 24th anniversary. Published in downtown Montgomery, serving Central Alabama proper. 24 years. Now, you want to make sure you go ahead and reserve your advertising space in the Gazette now for this very special month of October, celebrating the anniversary. The number 356-6700, that is the Alabama Gazette. They also publish Tidbits, the puzzle game trivia magazine. You can find the Gazette and Tidbits at many fine business establishments throughout the river region, and they're most worthy of your support. So give them a call, 356-6700, and reserve your advertising space for the Gazette now. It is surprisingly affordable and effective. 356-6700.
This part of the program also brought to you by Montgomery Men's Health. And there at Montgomery Men's Health, well, they can help you men get your edge back, get your energy back. Don't you want that BDE when you go about the day? You know what I'm talking about. Aren't you tired of being tired? Don't you want to make love to that woman in your life? Because you married her for a reason. She's an amazing woman. She's an amazing mom, and she's still hot, but you're never in the mood. So if you're run down, tired, lacking motivation, drive, including sex drive, the problem could be low testosterone. And they're at Montgomery Men's Health, well, they're reinventing that health care for men. And they're pinpointing whether or not low T is the problem for a lot of men in the area. So for only $99 in about an hour, you can know your testosterone numbers, just a quick blood draw. And if you do in fact have low testosterone, they have treatments there at Montgomery Men's Health that can truly change your life. Most men after these treatments experience higher energy, better gains in the gym. That's right, brother. Better mental clarity, improved sleep patterns. You might even notice an increased libido. And there's a lot right with that. So check them out today. That's Montgomery Men's Health, 440-3663. Call that number to make an appointment, 440-3663. Or go to montgomerymenshealth.com and be sure to tell them you heard about them here on News and Views in the afternoon. More News and Views after this quick break.
He may not know whether he's coming or going, but whether you're going to work or coming home, Greg Budell is there. Mornings, 6 till 9, and afternoons, 3 till 6. Only on News Talk 93.1 FM, WACV.
It's our biggest, fattest, zeroest event ever. Well, that's what it is. The Big Fat Zero event at the all-new Toyota of Montgomery. Buy a new Toyota with zero money down, 0% APR financing, zero payments till next year. What can be better?
Winning the lottery?
Sure, but then you'd have to pay a lot of taxes, pay your family, pay for a lawyer.
I prefer the Big Fat Zero.
Of course, because when you buy a new Toyota from Toyota of Montgomery, you don't pay a penny down, a penny in interest, and not a penny till 2024. Get to the Big Fat Zero event and at Toyota of Montgomery, online at toyotamontgomery.com.
$0 down on select new vehicles. 0% APR financing on select new 2023 vehicles with approved credit through dealer preferred lender with $100K financing limit. Maximum payment of $1,000 per month through 2024 plus tax, title, license, and $995 doc fee. May not be combined with some offers. Ends 8/31/2023.
Hello, everybody. This is Dr. Sam. We are broadcasting, yes, sirree, at Clark's Heating and Air today from 11:30 until 12:30. Let me tell you why. It's Operation Help and Hope. Now, what does that mean? That means the Cancer Wellness Foundation of Central Alabama is helping patients that have just realized, unfortunately, they have cancer. And this is going all over the river region. We need your help, though. Join us in the Operation Help and Hope. Now, we're collecting items to go in Chemo Comfort care bags that are offered to all new cancer patients. Items we're collecting, like new in the packaging, please, fuzzy socks, Boost nutritional drinks, also blankets, digital thermometers, hard candy, pill boxes, travel size tissues, some hand sanitizers, lip balm, puzzle books, and pens. Do yourself a favor. You'll feel so much better. It's hard enough on somebody who hears the letter C, and you know what that means. Folks, let's help them out. We can always count on you right here at Clark's Heating and Air.
Sweetheart?
Yeah?
Well, I've been thinking, I'm tired of this house.
What? You want to move?
Yeah, but we'd have to do some updating, to get top dollar.
Updating really does make a lot of sense, especially when you're talking about lighting. That's where Crosby Electric comes in. They'll help you choose a stunning pendant fixture over your bathroom sink, dramatic flush mount lighting over your kitchen island, maybe some LED panels to backlight your countertops. Energy-saving LED lighting has really come down in price. Or how about a new ceiling fan that moves air more efficiently than fans built only 10 years ago? The bottom line, updating your lighting almost always delivers a full return on your investment.
Well, sweetheart, the house looks fabulous.
Yeah.
Guess I'll put out the for sale sign.
Wait.
What?
I don't wanna move.
Find out how to turn your house into the home you'll never want to leave. Visit crosbyelectric.com or call 272-2085.
Hi, I'm Ray Bowles from Prattville Carpet. If you're looking for waterproof carpet, hardwood, laminate, vinyl plank, or ceramic tile, call us today for your free measurement.
During Prattville Carpet's summer sale, you can get Mohawk waterproof flooring, regularly priced at $11 per foot installed, right now priced at $7 per foot installed. That's huge summer savings. And get interest-free financing for up to 12 months with approved credit. Call 285-8117 or visit prattvillecarpet.com.
Prattville Carpet, we're more than just carpet.
When I can't sleep, my mind just races. I think about work, the kids, but I don't think about taking melatonin because I'm afraid I'll feel groggy in the morning.
ZzzQuil Pure Z's Gummies has an optimal dose of melatonin for no next-day grogginess, so you can fall asleep naturally and wake up feeling refreshed. ZzzQuil Pure Z's Gummies for better sleep like never before. And try Pure Z Sleep plus Next Day Energy with melatonin plus extended release B vitamins.
Hey, you know what I don't get? Why is that company always telling you to just do what? What is it? To just look like everybody else? Or maybe just pay way too much for your shoes? Well, at Skechers, we know what we want you to do. Just slip in. That's right, just slip in to new hands-free Skechers slip-ins. Why? Because slip-ins are the easiest, most comfortable shoes ever. You don't have to bend down to put them on. You don't even have to touch them. Find slip-ins for the whole family at a Skechers store, Skechers.com, or wherever stylish footwear is sold.
For too long, Alabama's statewide news companies have shamed us for our conservative Christian values. Alabama deserves a news company that cherishes our culture, a company that isn't bought and paid for by the powers that be. 1819 News is that company. Run by Alabamians for Alabamians, 1819 News celebrates what is good and beautiful about our state, while exposing those who work against our values in secret. Just go to 1819news.com to learn more. Subscribe to our newsletter. That's 1819news.com.
If it concerns your community, you'll hear about it on News Talk 93.1. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back to News and Views in the afternoon. I'm your host, Joey Clark. Sky Mosley in the studio with me.
Yes, sir.
How you doing today, Sky?
Doing great. It's been a wonderful day.
Yeah, it's been a good day so far, indeed. This part of the program, folks, brought to you by James Cole and Cole Plumbing. And of course, there at Cole Plumbing, they understand when you have a true emergency, the time is of the essence. You don't have time to let that water just drown you out. So it could be you got a leak inside your home or outside in your yard. Could be you find your water bill is quadrupled and you didn't install a pool. Well, that probably means you got a burst pipe, and Cole Plumbing can fix that, and they can do it with minimal discomfort to you in your home. They have this proprietary pipelining technology that allows them, with that precision and expertise, to actually get in there and solve the problem. So that means they're not going to have to dig up a huge hole in your yard or tear out a bunch of drywall inside. No, with precision and expertise, they can solve that leak for you. And of course, they can help you with all sorts of standard problems, from low water pressure to a clogged drain to maybe you're getting tree root invasion or your sump pump isn't working. Even gas leaks, gas line leaks, they can work on all of that. Or maybe you're just looking to upgrade to a tankless water heater system, or you need to run a new water line as you're renovating your property. They can help you with all of that there at Cole Plumbing. So check them out today. You can always go to coleplumbing.com or give them a call at 279-8919. That's 279-8919. And just remember, folks, when you have trouble with your bowl,
call on Cole.
Well said, Sky Mosley. Well said. Now, as we were talking with the judge about Trump's legal woes, well, Axios has done a fantastic report that essentially explains there is Trump fatigue, especially fatigue over all these indictments, which I find just absolutely fascinating. And so they're essentially getting back diminishing returns, Sky. And we'll pull this up to show exactly what Axios is getting at. But yeah, this was quite interesting. That you would think, okay, what you want to do is pile on these indictments because it'll really show folks that, are you sure you want to go with this guy? You sure you want to go with this guy who Mike Pence is now bad-mouthing, who Chris Christie is bad-mouthing? You sure you want to go with Donnie from Queens? And folks are now just kind of bored with it. Wait, I thought you indicted him 3 months ago. Right. Tell me something new.
Yeah, starting to see it for what it is, maybe.
Well, and the way Axios did this was based off a Google Trends chart where they search for the search terms Trump and indictment. Let's see if we can share this here on the live stream. And again, folks, live streaming on Facebook, on Twitter, at the Joey Clark or X.com. And now just search for YouTube. The name of the channel is Joey Clark Live. Just search for Joey Clark Live. You should be able to find the live stream there on the YouTube, as Greg Budell calls it. But you can see here that, okay, there's a huge pop-up in media response over Google Trends during the FBI search of Mar-a-Lago. And then, okay, more interest, like speculation on what might happen with this. Okay, and the hush money indictment unsealed. With, I guess, Stormy Daniels. Horseface.
Yes, who could forget?
And like that spikes, it goes off the charts. Then Trump is indicted in relation to the classified documents. Not that big of a pop. It's not even enough of a media pop compared to the initial FBI search there, which is just remarkable. And then it's falling even more, indicted for a January 6th involvement. Like the frequency and attention, well, is running thin. The public's attention to former President Trump's legal drama has declined with each subsequent indictment, according to new data pulled across television, social media, and search activity. Despite the unprecedented criminal charges against the former president, the shock is starting to wear off for now. Americans have turned to Google in droves to find information about Trump and the topic of indictment with every new case. Searches spiked with all 3 indictments, but the spikes are getting smaller, indicating slowing interest. Social media interactions with stories about Trump indictments have followed a similar trend to the Google Trends data, according to NewsWhip, whoever that is. On TV, coverage of Trump's first indictment in April drew a huge spike in viewership, according to Nielsen ratings. Subsequent indictments have drawn fewer viewers, although last week's coverage of Trump's third indictment and arrest drew roughly the same level of viewership as the second one in June. Now, the arrest and arraignment of a former president, along with the usual flurry of angry social media posts and cries of a political witch hunt, are starting to feel routine. Now, and wouldn't you say that is the feeling not just on Trump's indictments, but on so many political issues?
Well, particularly on the persecution of Donald Trump.
Right.
It's been going on now for what, 6 years since he came down the escalator?
Oh, sure, yeah. Maybe even longer than that. But, I mean, there's so many issues, though. It's like, how many times we can talk about this till we're blue in the face?
Well, still news.
And well, the fair way to settle this, how about we settle this way? A popularity contest.
Hey.
And that's how we'll decide what's true. Or something.
Oh, as long as it's fair.
Yeah, as long as it's fair. Yeah, it's not rigged. None of this is rigged.
I'll take a fair popularity contest right now.
But I find that fascinating because I think Americans in general have news fatigue. But I think a lot of folks, even more so, have what we call here Trump fatigue. So we'll see if Donnie from Queens or the persecution of Donnie from Queens will get its step back in the news. Don't worry about it, Sky. Let's go to line 1. You're on there. Who's this?
Red Top. Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Hey, Red Top.
And always on the edge of the chair interview with the judge. I didn't have to crawl into the fetal position this week. He scared the hell out of me last week. I was beginning to think I was listening to Terry Adams.
Well, he's not the only one.
No, Lord have mercy. No, I couldn't listen to Terry. I'd have to crawl, sit in the corner in the dark. You know what I mean? Poor guy. And by the way, Jack Smith, that's the nasty man. I don't know if you remember this, but he's the one that went after the governor of Virginia for some other freedom of speech charges, and it got taken all the way to the Supreme Court, and they ruled unanimously against Jack Smith. If I'm wrong about anything about that, you let me know, but I don't think so. I just heard it last night on MTV News.
Yeah, I don't know off the top of my head.
Yes, it's a former governor of Virginia that he did something very similar to, and
no, you are right. I think it was, Bob McDonald or whoever. Yeah.
It damn sure was.
And yeah, it was 9-0 against the case Jack Smith brought, even the liberal justice. You're right about that.
He's got a very bad reputation.
Right.
And I saw 2 or 3 more interviews with Trump's lawyers last night, and this is dramatic. And he claims he wasn't talking about Jack Smith when he says, I'm coming after you. That's all been twisted around, too, because he was talking about social media posts. So now the gagging of Donald Trump is very serious. And as far as I know, today the gag order went into effect, correct?
I don't know if it's gone into effect. I saw it being floated. It was the last thing before I hopped on air here.
Yes, and that woman, she's given away over recommended sentences for January 6th people and all that kind of stuff. So it's so far out of control, it's unbelievable. But let me bring up something real quick, Joey, that you'll like about space business. Have you seen the new Draco rocket that was just approved in contract for last week?
The Draco rocket? No.
All right, you go ahead and you can check it out. Nuclear reactor-powered rocket. I think if you would like, that's a very interesting.
No, I'm looking at you. Sorry, Red Top, you're cutting in and out, but this is something that DARPA created.
Combination.
All right.
Just a weapon?
Let contracts.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now here. Fascinating.
Yes. What's so dramatically different about it, it's going to change the cruising speed from 5,000 miles an hour to 8,500 miles an hour, which means you will get to the moon in 22 hours instead of 36.
Well, and you know, with all this talk of UAPs, UFOs, or whatever, my mind doesn't immediately go to aliens. That's fun. Where my mind goes is somebody within DARPA or somewhere figured out something in physics and they haven't told everybody else.
Oh, yeah, why would they?
Right. Maybe there have been breakthroughs similar to, Einstein's or Niels Bohr, or whoever.
I would say most of these UAVs or whatever the hell they call them, UAVs, BZs, I don't give a damn anymore. They have solved a gravity problem, I think. Some way to do it. That's why there's so many things floating around. But yes, it is DARPA and NASA doing all this stuff. No damn aliens. Joey, it took us 12 years to get to Pluto. That ain't even out of the damn solar system. Ain't nobody cruising from no star 2.5 light years away. Ain't gonna happen. And Joey, did you hear about my invite to the Republican party meeting?
Sure.
Oh, we announced it on the Unfiltered show earlier today. Red Top kind of wasn't feeling too good about how the Republican Party has treated him and all his hard work and efforts he's put in on the ground. And so, turns out Red Top received a special invite from Carol Johns, that's the Secretary of the Alabama Republican Party, to the big August meeting coming up on Tuesday the 15th.
Well, so complaining on the radio does work.
It does.
Scott, by the way.
Yes, sir.
Leave me information on what time and what place. But if she wants to call you and get my number, she's more than welcome to call me.
Okay. I've got all the information right here, Red Top, if you got a pen. We can do it off the air.
Yeah, and I got to hit a break here.
Okay,
guys.
We'll probably do it tomorrow morning, Scott, but I appreciate it, buddy.
Sure.
Thank you so much. Roll Tide, go Trump, gentlemen.
Appreciate it. How about this? Let's hit this break, and we'll be right back, folks.
Want to carry News Talk in your pocket? Download the News Talk 93.1 app from the App Store. Available on iPhone and Android. Never miss a moment. Download now.
Next contestant.
Honey, you look confused. What's wrong?
I'm having a hard time remembering to take my medications like I'm supposed to. I didn't say anything because I didn't want to worry you.
I'm glad you told me, because I heard that Adams Drugs has a medicine on time service that will package your monthly medications and make them easier to manage. Our neighbors, Bill and Leslie, mentioned the other day that they use Adams and how they have made it so easy for them to manage their medications.
Do you think we can call Adams Drugs? Or go by there and see if they can help me? I don't want to get to the point where you have to put me into an assisted living home.
Why don't you get your medications together right now, and let's go down to Adams and talk to the pharmacist.
How much does the medicine on time service cost?
I asked Bill that same question, and he told me it's a free service for Adams customers.
Free? Wow, I'm feeling really good about this already. Let me grab my meds list.
Call Adams Drugs Medicine on Time for your pharmacist consultation. Visit us at adamsdrugs.net for more information on our Medicine on Time packaging service.
Join the fun as Second Saturday Riverfront Festivals return to Montgomery's Riverfront Park on Saturday, August 12th. This spectacular event will feature over 15 of the area's best food trucks. This will give guests the opportunity to explore a wide range of flavors and options. Come for the food and stay for the fun, as there'll be tons of live entertainment, general vendors, and a variety of different art mediums. That's this Saturday, 6 to 9, free admission, no outside alcohol permitted. Rich Thomas Weather is brought to you by JB Windows and Siding. Call Jones Brothers. You'll be glad you did.
JB Windows and Siding has what you're looking for. Rich Thomas Weather.
Well, hi, everybody. No big changes in our forecast. The heat and humidity are still in place with the risk of some strong storms fueled by this heat. Today's actual high temperature in the low to mid 90s, but triple-digit heat indices again, and a generous supply of showers and storms, especially this afternoon and this evening, some possibly severe with damaging wind gusts the main threat. Our weather app will keep you on top of the action. Low tonight in the mid 70s. Tomorrow and Thursday, more scattered random storms. We'll be in the mid-90s again both days, and triple-digit heat indices will remain. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
The MVP on a football field may change on any given Saturday, but the MVP in every other field is a Kubota. John Bobo with Capital Tractor. With the #1 selling compact tractor in America, Kubota equipment is a game changer. Capital Tractor, Montgomery, Brundage, and Greenville.
News and talk without the static. The River Region's most trusted voice. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back to News and Views in the afternoon. Now, surprise guest, folks, and I appreciate this gentleman on such short notice today with a busy schedule joining me. James Lindsay is on the show now. Hey, James, how are you, sir?
Hey, I'm good, thanks.
I appreciate your time on such short notice. And for folks who don't know, you've got a big event coming up on August the 25th in the evening, teamed up with 1819 News and a few others. And this is about what the Marxification of education in this country?
Yeah, looking forward to coming out and telling people. That's the title, by the way, of my latest book, which came out in December of last year, The Marxification of Education. And I want to clarify for people how education's been stolen out from underneath our children.
Yeah, and this has deep roots, right? You've done the scholarly research. I haven't, but the name that comes to mind is Fermi?
Freire.
Freire, okay.
Yeah, so Freire is a Brazilian Marxist and liberation theologian, that's a fancy term that means a communist pretending to be a Catholic. And so he created this entire educational program in Brazil in the 1960s that went over so poorly that they exiled him from the country, and then he went and studied up some more formal communist theory in Chile eventually with some communist priests, and was able to formulate a model of education that the shortest way to express it is that it uses the academic material as an excuse to have political conversations instead of to do actual education. And so that allows you to steal education and turn it into Marxist brainwashing without people being able to catch on that they've turned it into Marxist brainwashing.
Well, and this is the classic kind of parasite strategy that's happening in education. I think you've also pointed this out happening in corporations and media and the university system in particular.
Yeah, that's right. So I'll give you an idea, a sense of how it works. This is a real example, by the way, from a real teacher training in the state of Indiana from an actual teacher that gave it to me. They were taught to look at a math word problem. This happened to be for second grade math class. You know, Johnny's riding in the car on his way to an amusement park with his mom and dad, and they have 50 miles to get to the amusement park. They've already traveled 30 miles. How much further do they have to go? And so you normally would think, well, you put it up there and you teach them how to get the subtraction problem out of the words and you solve it, and then you give them a sentence back. They have 20 miles to go, right? Well, that's to teach mathematics. But what they would do is they say, well, the kids are bored with that. That's boring. It's not exciting. It's not engaging, or it's not culturally relevant to them. That's the words of the day, culturally relevant. So let's ask the kids, teach the teachers, that if you saw that, first of all, as a parent, you would think there's nothing wrong with that question. There's no politics there. Well, they teach the teachers to say, hey, kids, who's been to an amusement park before? Raise your hand. And so they're 7 to second grade. Half of them raise their hand, half of them don't, or thereabouts. And, whoa, some of you have, some of you haven't. So now you have a difference. Why would it be that some of you have and some of you have not? And then when they are trained to keep prompting the kids to give answers until one of them says, not everybody can afford it. or my parents said that I can't go. So now you get to have a conversation about socialism or a conversation about parental authority with the kids on the excuse of the term amusement park. And that's what Paulo Freire called a generative theme. It's a theme that appears in the educational material that generates the possibility for a political conversation. And of course, you could do that with mom and dad, or you could even do it if you wanted an environmental conversation with car. Those are just totally benign words that become opportunities to do politics in the classroom.
Again, folks, we're talking to James Lindsay. If this is just scratching the surface of this man's knowledge and his great presentation skills, an evening with James Lindsay coming up August the 25th from 6 to 9. They're in Birmingham at the Oak Mountain Brewing Company, or Pelham, technically, folks in the Birmingham area. There's so much I would want to talk to you about, James, because I have been following you since all the way back at the Hoax Papers. But I wanted to fit this in, I guess, the 2 minutes we have here. For the longest time, as I was heading out of undergraduate, somebody would say, Joey, do you believe in God? And I would say, what do you mean by God? I'm an agnostic, and I think you're one of the few people in your writing and books I've heard also use that term.
Yeah, I have. It's not I know that the word means a lot, and it's a very important concept for a lot of people, and I respect and honor that, and I take it very seriously. If you listen to my talks and presentations, you'll hear a lot of the Bible infused in everything that I have to say. I'm not particularly interested, and that's kind of what the word means. I'm not particularly interested in whether or not God is literally true. If it's
right.
For me, it doesn't matter whether this is a fundamental aspect of metaphysical reality or if it's a very useful and accurate set of metaphors that lead us to clarity and wisdom. But I do take the tradition very seriously, but I'm not particularly interested in what it means.
Well, and I have to admit, I dabbled in the New Atheist group here in Montgomery in Alabama, 12 years of Catholic school, though. And, growing up skeptical in these parts can be a little bit of a chore. I imagine you've had a similar path, but both of us now are, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you're working with a lot of true believers and folks on the right, a lot of devout evangelical Christians.
Yeah, evangelical Christians overwhelmingly are some of my closest allies and friends. I spend a lot of time with them. I speak regularly in churches. I get invited by Turning Point USA to speak at their pastors' summits. I just got another invitation to the next one, so that's still a relationship that's good. I speak with a lot of Catholics as well, in a lot of actually Jewish groups as well. And I think that my taking time to respect and honor their faith has been really important to them, and it's really enriched my knowledge and presentation skills as well. But yeah, they're easily my closest friends and allies these days.
And I find myself in the position of saying to them, I really do respect your traditions. Let me wrestle with the books of Scripture, especially I can't get out of the book of Job, for instance. But I'll tell them, hey, I can't go all the way with you guys. I'm just not there in that frame of mind. But then I'll hear critics from leftists, progressives, commies, and I want to turn to them and have some GD respect, guys. Do you not respect this 1,000+ year tradition? Do you think there is sort of a larger movement where it's not literally a particular Christian sect is taking over, but a lot more people are wrestling with these deeper concepts?
Yeah, I think so, and I think it's probably healthy. Of course, Israel as a term itself means wrestling with God, so that's kind of a funny way that you phrased it. And to your point about the communists, it is absolutely, they do not care that there's 1,000+ year tradition. That's exactly what they want to destroy. And I think you see this kind of paying more attention to it in these Western, broadly Judeo-Christian cultural contexts, because the cultural Marxist movement that we're fighting against, which was kind of fathered in many ways by Antonio Gramsci, a communist from Italy in the 1920s, he said, socialism is precisely the religion that must overwhelm Christianity. And so there is a fundamental battle between the value sets that we might call Judeo-Christian and Western versus communist.
Fascinating, and I would love to keep going, but I want to be sensitive of your time. I really appreciate it, James, and I should be there that evening, the evening with James Lindsay. Look forward to meeting you.
Yeah, looking forward to that.
Well, I appreciate it, and talk again soon. Thank you, sir. Again, that's James Lindsay. Evening with James Lindsay. You can go to 1819news.com and check it out. It's going to be James, Brian Dawson, Dr. Robert Jones. It will be at Oak Mountain Brewing Company. They're in Pelham, Alabama. Oak Mountain Brewing Company, 6 to 9, August the 25th, coming up here. So get your tickets there at 1819news.com. We got to hit this top of the hour break. We'll be right back after this.
Broadcasting from the Riverside Chevrolet Master Control Center, this is WACV Cusada, News Talk 93.1 FM. When it's Chevy, it's Riverside.
With SRN News, I'm John Scott. President Biden visiting Arizona, where he'll formally announce a national monument designation for the Greater Grand Canyon. Winning Arizona would be a critical part of Biden's reelection effort. Donald Trump's legal team has told a judge overseeing the election conspiracy case against him that the prosecutor's proposed protective order aimed at preventing the public disclosure of evidence is too broad and would restrict his First Amendment rights. Lawyers say the judge should impose a more limited protective order that would prevent the defense team from publicly disclosing only materials deemed sensitive, such as grand jury documents. On Wall Street, the Dow is 277 points in the red, the Nasdaq losing 165. This is SRN News.
The recent bank failures are serving as a warning about how fragile our banking system really is. As millions of Americans panic, do you know what central banks are doing? Well, they're actually buying up gold at record levels. They're relying on it as a safe haven during these difficult times. That's how confident they are in the dollar. Hi, I'm Lance Wallnow, Christian author and evangelical leader to millions of people just like you. We're all Americans who want to protect our family's savings no matter what. I tell people the best option is to diversify their 401k or IRA into physical gold or silver with the help of Birch Gold Group. To see how it works, just text the word FAITH to the number 989898 to get a free information kit on gold IRAs. Look, there's no strings attached. It's not going to hurt you to take action now. So take the first step today and educate yourself. Get your free info kit when you text FAITH to 989898 right now. And I pray you and your family are greatly blessed.
The Rich Thomas Weather Network, brought to you by Alabama Wholesale Lumber. Alabama Wholesale Lumber, serving the river region with the best quality building materials for decades. Contractor to do-it-yourselfer. Call Alabama Wholesale Lumber.
Rich Thomas Weather.
Well, hi, everybody. No big changes in our forecast. The heat and humidity are still in place with the risk of some strong storms fueled by this heat. Today's actual high temperature in the low to mid-90s, but triple-digit heat indices again, and a generous supply of showers and storms, especially this afternoon and this evening, some possibly severe with damaging wind gusts the main threat. Our weather app will keep you on top of the action. Low tonight in the mid-70s. Tomorrow and Thursday, more scattered random storms. We'll be in the mid-90s again both days, and triple-digit heat indices will remain. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
ASE Credit Union makes auto loans easy with rates as low as 4.75% APR. Apply online or visit your local branch today. Federally insured by the NCUA, Equal Opportunity Lender.
ASE Credit Union. Your life, your goals, your ASE.
From WAKA Channel 8, I'm Savannah Sabb. Mayor Reed and MPD Chief of Police Daryl Albert will host a joint press conference at 1 today. It's about the fight that happened Saturday night at Montgomery's Riverfront. The press conference will be at Montgomery's Riverfront. It's to provide the latest updates to media regarding the massive brawl. The video from the fight has gone viral and has received attention nationwide. A Monroeville man has drowned at Lake Martin, and lightning could be the blame. Tallapoosa County Sheriff Jimmy Abbott says deputies were called Thursday night just before 6 o'clock to a home on Risky Ridge at Lake Martin near Dadeville about a possible drowning. Sheriff Abbott says the preliminary investigation revealed that there was severe weather with lightning prior to the incident. The victim, 22-year-old David Carter, was recovered from the water. Those are your local news headlines for WAKA Channel 8. I'm Savannah Sabb.
Is your cell phone or iPad cracked, broken, or not working right? Don't let the big carrier stores sucker you into a new $1,100 device. Let XI Repair fix your device today. XI Repair fixes cell phones, computers, laptops, iPads, game consoles, drones, and more. Their certified technicians fix hundreds of devices every day. When your device needs care, call XI Repair, 334-777-1234, or Google XI Repair.
Buckle up for a whirlwind of winnings at Wind Creek Wetumpka this summer, where you have a chance to win free play, cash, or a 2023 Ford Expedition. Just visit and play throughout July and August to earn entries. Preliminary drawings start at 5 p.m. every Saturday in August for free play and an entry ticket to the grand prize round on Saturday, August 26th. Finalists could win up to $5,000 cash, and one lucky guest will drive off in a brand new Ford Expedition.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
This hour of news and views is brought to you by our good friends at Alabama Home Mortgage. Alabama Home Mortgage, 567-4223. Visit them on the web at myalabamahomemortgage.com. NMLS number 1586368, an equal housing lender.
Hello, folks. This is Dr. Sam. I'm broadcasting on location right here, Blue Water Broadcasting at Riverside Chevrolet. I'll be here till 2 o'clock today. And let me ask you something. Did you know that 1 in every 3 people are expected to be diagnosed with cancer in their lifetime? 1 in 3. So what are we doing? We're calling it something special, Operation Help and Hope. Now, this is all we need. We need your help. That's it. And you can help us out by joining the Operation Help and Hope by bringing some items, kind of like, and new in the packaging, please. Fuzzy socks, Boost nutritional drinks, blankets, digital thermometers, hard candy, pill boxes, travel size tissues, also some hand sanitizers, lip balm, and puzzle books and pens. It would help out these patients tremendously. It's traumatic and dramatic enough when you hear the letter C. So let's help them out, folks. We need your help. We're asking for you to drop off those donations right here at Riverside Chevrolet, 231 in Wetumpka.
The views and opinions of the following program are solely those of the host and other contributors. These do not necessarily represent those of Liberty Acquisitions 825, Blue Water Broadcasting, its management, staff, or any advertisers. It's time for Montgomery's conversational radio show. It's News and Views on News Talk 93.1 FM. To join the conversation, call 272-9228.
Welcome back to News and Views in the afternoon. Well, folks, as promised, let's go live to the press conference. We're just a couple minutes behind. The press conference with, well, the Montgomery Police Chief, Daryl Albert, as well as the Mayor of Montgomery, Stephen Reed. But let's all listen in together.
Place on Saturday, August 5th, 2023 at 7 p.m. There were several events taking place on our historic riverfront. Positive feedback regarding a school event hosted by the Montgomery Public Schools and Hyundai was taking place at the amphitheater and nearby train shed. The Harriet II river cruise ship was fully operational, operating from a designated docking space along the river. The Harriet takes passengers on 2-hour tours up and along the Alabama River throughout the day. On this day, there were 227 passengers aboard that vessel. The incident occurred between a co-captain of the Harriet II vessel and a private boat owner and his family. As the Harriet attempted to dock in its designated space, designated and reserved due to the gangway access as well as the mooring requirements, the private boat was docked in its space, prohibiting safe docking of the Harriet. The captain of the Harriet remained away from the dock for nearly 40 to 45 minutes as he attempted to contact the operators of the private boat via PA system. They were only responded to with obscene gestures, curse words, and taunting. The co-captain was then picked up by a separate vessel and brought to the pier in an attempt to have a conversation with the private boat owners and or have those boats moved so that the Harriet could dock. A confrontation ensued between the co-captain and Mr. Pickett, the co-captain, being attacked by several members of the private boat. Several members of the Harriet II came to Mr. Pickett's defense, engaging in what we all have seen since on social media. I'll give you a timeline as to the way the calls came in and the Montgomery Police Department's response. The
Yeah, this is
original call
live.
came in at 7 p.m. as a typical disturbance. The caller, who was the captain of the Harriet, was very calm and not in distress. As additional calls were received, at 7:15 p.m., the call was dispatched to the Montgomery Police Department. 7:18, the first units, 4 Montgomery Police Department officers arrived on scene, with 3 shortly thereafter. 13 individuals were detained and brought to police headquarters for questioning and interviews. Those interviews lasted several hours. At that time, all parties involved were released pending further investigation, but were all given instructions on how to secure warrants on the combatants. We have since consulted with and are continuing to work with the Alabama Law Enforcement Agency, our state police agency, the Montgomery's DA's office, and the local office of the FBI. This investigation is ongoing and more charges are likely. We encourage the public to continue to send us additional videos or evidence relating to this case. Those can be sent to starcenter@montgomeryal.gov or at our secret witness 334-625-4000. The victims in this case, the co-captain, Mr. Damian Pickett, black male, and a 16-year-old white male juvenile who was struck by the owners and operators of the private boat. The suspects thus far have been identified as Richard Roberts, white male, 48 years old, with 2 outstanding warrants for assault, 3rd degree. Alan Todd, white male, 23 years old, 1 warrant for assault, 3rd degree. And Zachary Shipman, white male, 25 years old, 1 warrant for assault, 3rd degree. We have instructed those individuals to turn themselves into law enforcement, and as at this time, 1 is secured and in custody. The other 2 are set to turn themselves in within the next hour. We are also asking for Mr. Reggie Gray, the black male, 42 years old, who was seen wielding that folding chair, to contact the Montgomery Police Department for further interviews and as part of this investigation. As the mayor said a minute ago, this investigation is ongoing and more charges are likely. We want to thank the public and the media for supplying the much needed evidence and video surveillance that we've received, and it helped us to determine the facts as they happen. Keep in mind, when the incident took place, when it initially took place, the police department didn't have the luxury of the videos that we all have seen now. The police department was acting on statements and witness statements that occurred as we arrived. Now that we have more information, again, more charges are pending. I'm available to answer your questions, but that sums up where we are at this time, sir. Not at this time. We know 1 individual has turned himself in. He is in the custody of the Selma Police Department. Again, I've worked with the Selma Police Department, and we've been working very closely with Chief Fulford over there, and Chief Fulford contacted me just prior to this press conference and said 1 individual has turned himself in, and the other 2 are set to turn themselves in a little bit later. Now, the issue is we had multiple addresses in Selma and in Orange Beach. So locating these individuals were a little bit challenging, but now we've made contact. We should be and will be bringing those individuals here for justice. Sir. So on the night of the incident, the Montgomery Police Department detained 13 individuals for questioning and for further investigations. Those individuals were transported to police headquarters in which at that time we were able to gain much needed information we need and provide them with information on how to secure warrants for the information and for the acts that you saw live on TV.
Identify yourself and
well, thank you. Yes. So the co-captain, again, as the co-captain approached the dock and attempted to peacefully move the boat over just enough so that Harrier could park, the owners of the boat confronted him in a very hostile manner. There was words exchanged, and then it turned into a fistic encounter that you've all seen. So the co-captain was doing his job. He was simply trying to move the boat in just enough to where the cruise ship can park safely.
And folks, we're going to pause it there because this is pretty much what the Captain Jim Cottrell told us yesterday here on this program. And I was just looking, Fox News was carrying this press conference. They cut to a reporter and they said, yeah, the captain was on a local radio show. Just say our names. Just say our names. Like, what do we got to do to hit the big time here? Anyway, I appreciate all the attention being laid out to the city, but this is pretty much the story we got from the captain yesterday. 272-9228 if you want to get in on the program. Let's continue on here for a second.
In its identified location, however, it quickly escalated into a fistic encounter. So, as it relates to racial epithets in conversation and names being called, while the Harrier was still out in the water, there was a lot of, I've seen finger gestures and comments and innuendos made at a distance. Of course, when the co-captain approached, that continued. But again, working with the local FBI, we did examine if there was enough to file hate crimes charges on this case. And again, we rely heavily on the advice from the FBI. We've also looked at what it takes to elevate this to a riot or inciting a riot. We've worked with our local district attorney, and it did fit the criteria for that. So the charges that we have pending on South 3rd at this time are appropriate charges for what we've seen and the behavior that we've seen on social media. Yes, so the 4 warrants that secured are all members of the pontoon boat, and the attack on the co-captain. And there was an attack on a 16-year-old employee of the smaller vessel that took the co-captain from the Harrier to the dock. That 16-year-old was assaulted by one of those members of that pontoon boat, and his mother actually went and signed warrants on one of those individuals. That individual was a 16-year-old white male employee of the smaller vessel that was operating in the river at that time as well.
Yeah, the pedal boat. And I just appreciate the captain giving us a scoop yesterday. And, well, it sounds like it's the same story being given by Chief Albert. And appreciate his presentation here. What a weird thing to get attention for. The internet always wins, I guess, folks. Let's go to Bill. Hey, Bill.
Hi, guys.
How you doing?
Did you find anything interesting about the description?
I think you did. What did you find interesting?
They normally don't tell you that someone is of color or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
But the police chief made it a point to make it an issue of color.
Yes, he is not going to put his head into what the entire world is talking about. But I think he brought it up in multiple ways, though, Bill. Like, as you just heard before I brought you on, he was making it very clear it was, and it pretty much backs up what the Captain Jim told us yesterday, it was a 60-year-old white kid who's also pressing charges. Like, it wasn't just a black-white thing.
Well, no, and it shouldn't have been, because it was a matter of right and wrong.
Sure.
And the guys on the pontoon boat like the captain said yesterday, I happened to hear that interview where he said this is not the only incident they've had. It has been a running process of things that this same group of people have perpetrated toward him and toward their company. So it's really a matter of right and wrong. I hate to see it turned into a racial thing, because I'll be honest with you, if I'd have been there, I would have helped defend the guy from the Harriet, because he was in the right to move the boat and ask him to move. So, but I find it interesting that the police chief made it a point to point out the color of the people that was involved, because normally when you see something on a crime, they never say black or white.
It's true, but like I said at the beginning of this call, right, you're right about that, but also this is let's say, unique circumstances. Like, this has hit international news. Everybody's got videos. The reason it's hit international news is for certain imagery, and then the reaction is creating all sorts of discussion. So I kind of see why he presented it that way. But I got a lot of calls rolling in here, Bill, so I appreciate it, man.
Have a great day.
Let's go to Chris. Hey, Chris.
Hey, Joey, I appreciate you getting your interview yesterday. That was very enlightening. I think really cleared up a lot of issues. And unfortunately, politicians can use this to deflect from their mismanagement of the city. And that's what Stephen Reed's going to do with it. It probably was very timely. I'm sure his buddy Chip Hill is very pleased, and maybe we'll get on Twitter and make some more racial comments about it. And, he'll probably use this as a way to get a few more votes and win the mayor's election just based on his use of this incident, which is absolutely the most redneck, dumb thing I've ever seen in my life. And I think these guys and gals who did this are involved all need to have the book thrown at them. Now the fact we're trying to gin up, we're going to get the FBI involved, it's a hate crime. I mean, that's just part of the political nature of it. And
it's not impossible. Like these folks from Selma, who the hell knows what they were thinking? I mean, but it could easily be, drunk idiots too.
You just get in a pontoon boat, go upriver from Selma, and how many hours that's going to be, and while you're drinking your Bud Light, you could be pretty much hammered by the time you get here. And like the captain said earlier, which I think you need to replay that interview, these folks were, they were lit up, and they act like a bunch of morons, and they deserve everything they get. But starts calling this hate crime and black, white. I mean, that does nobody any good. It's just another way to divide and conquer. And Stephen Reed does a really good job at it. And so he's just going to use this to his advantage to get reelected. But the funny thing is, and now I know you got other calls. The thing that really burns me up, being a resident of this city for as long as I have, my trash pickup is garbage. They had people walking off out of the maintenance department. He puts in a crony in the sanitation department. He puts cronies in all these other spots. All the services are going to the toilet. The city looks like garbage, and and then he's going to use something like this, divide, put a wedge in between us even further, and it does nothing to help the situation with the genocide that's happening on our streets, black men being killed in a weekly basis here in this city. But he won't say anything about it because that's not politically expedient for him either.
Well, and did you catch my op-ed that came out today at 1819 News?
I have not read it, Joey. I did see it when I looked at the website. I love that and thank God for 1819 News, by the way.
Oh, absolutely. But folks, if y'all want to check it out, I might read it a little later. The Montgomery mayoral race shows all politics are now national.
Yep.
Yeah. It's good luck trying to have a nonpartisan race, even if it is a local municipal one. I appreciate the call, Chris.
Yeah, y'all have a great day.
272-9228. Line 4, you're on there. Who's this?
What's up, Blur Days?
How you doing?
Well, I'm sure our former mayor is very disappointed because, as he said, we were on the verge of greatness. I think our credit rating on verge of greatness has slipped a notch or two as long as, this type of activity goes on. But anywho, do you remember the traveling preacher, the gentleman over in Chisholm that was knocked on the door and was spreading the gospel and he got shot and killed?
I don't remember that, no, but I believe you.
Well, it happened here a year or so ago, anyway, the traveling salesman of religion. But he was not, the defendant was not charged with a hate crime. And that was a black and white crime.
Oh, wait, was this the really young guy with the young family? Okay, I am remembering it now, yeah.
Had the family, wife was pregnant, the whole 9 yards. But I just wonder what they're using as a measure for a hate crime. I mean, you if you're going to call in the FBI on one, which one gets called in on the other? I mean, I'm just struggling with that.
Well, I mean, somebody on Twitter told me that it's good that the folks stood up to these racist, privileged white boys because, I mean, this is how the Tulsa massacre started.
Well, they were idiots. Their parents are probably idiots for raising them. It's just about the way things are in society now, Joey. Nobody can take a simple directive like move the boat so we can park. You have to go someplace else. You can go around the curve down there. There's a restaurant and a dock down there you can dock at until we get docked. But nobody can. And 90% of the problems that happen with law enforcement, Joey, is people just can't follow a simple directive. And it's in the schools. The teachers tell you that. We're raising people now that you can't tell me what to do in an authoritative position. And you're going to see more and more of this. Have a good day, Joey.
Appreciate you, Simpler Days. 272-9228. This part of the program brought to you by Bath Innovations of Alabama. And they're at Bath Innovations. Well, Brad McDowell and his team, they're ready to help you folks out. And they have thousands of options. If you just go to bathinnovations.com, the way you can mix and match and customize a full remodel is truly remarkable. That's why you got to go to the website. You can see all the tricks, all the great products they have there, whether you're looking for a great new, sleek, modern style. Maybe you want something a little more classic. Or it could be you're getting a little older, senior citizen or others with accessibility and disability concerns. Well, they have aging in place solutions, things like safety bar railings, non-slip pads and seating, bathtub to walk-in bathtub or walk-in shower conversion, all sorts of specialty fixtures. And again, you can mix and match, folks. You can make your remodel whatever your price point, whatever your budget, they can make that remodel work for you there at Bath Innovations of Alabama. So check them out today. You can always call them at 271-2723. That's 271-2723. Or just stop by that showroom at 2331 Eastern Boulevard here in Montgomery. And be sure to tell Brad McDowell and the team there at Bath Innovations of Alabama that Joey from News and Views in the Afternoon sent you. More news and views, well, after this.
He may not know whether he's coming or going, but whether you're going to work or coming home, Greg Budell is there. Mornings, 6 till 9, and afternoons, 3 till 6. Only on News Talk 93.1 FM, WACV.
Picture this. A serene, tranquil resting place surrounded by nature's beauty. A place where memories are cherished and loved ones are forever remembered. We're talking about your final resting place, and it's never too early to start planning for it. Pineview Memorial Gardens in Wetumpka has been family owned and operated for over 55 years. We understand the importance of pre-need planning. You can make decisions that reflect your personal wishes. You can choose the perfect location, whether it's a serene garden, a peaceful mausoleum, or a place in our cremation wall. Pre-need planning alleviates the burden from your loved ones during a time of grief. By planning ahead, you can secure today's prices, protecting yourself and your family from future cost increases. So why wait? Contact Pine View Memorial Gardens in Wetumpka today. Your final resting place should be a reflection of your unique journey. Take control of your future and make pre-need planning a priority. Pine View Memorial Gardens in Wetumpka, where memories live on.
This is Evan Bass from Montgomery Men's Health. When you started your relationship, you probably never thought about erectile dysfunction impacting the life you have with the one you love. You see, ED doesn't just have physical effects. It has psychological effects as well. If you have it, like millions of men do, you likely know exactly what I'm talking about. ED affects your attitude, your confidence, your outlook on life. But what you may not know is that it could also affect your partner. It's hard for guys to talk about, and a lot of times the partner blames himself. And that's not something you want in your relationship. Now is the time to call us and do something about your ED, even if other treatments haven't worked, especially if you haven't talked about it before. Montgomery Men's Health treats ED in low T. Our urologists and providers offer a variety of treatments and treatment combinations that are geared toward results. So call us today. Your initial appointment is $99 and includes a hormone lab panel. Call 334-440-3663 or go to montgomerymenshealth.com.
This is your roving reporter, and today I'm talking with a famous broadcaster.
Hey man, what's happening?
Now, I understand you radio people move a lot, is that correct?
Yeah, sometimes.
Well, how does this affect your taking care of your retirement money?
Oh man, I don't give that a second thought because my buddy David Ernest, he's my money man.
Your money man?
With the money plan.
I see.
So no matter where I go up and down the dial, David has my back, you know?
I'll bet you know some phone numbers our listeners could call to talk with David Ernest.
334-279-7431 or 205-479-0839.
And he has a website at retirewithernest.com.
Hey, you're on top of it today, man.
I also understand that you hold some sort of a record in broadcasting.
Yes. I was the first person to put together a show with myself, a duck, a chicken, and a goose. But it didn't last long. We got taken off the air.
Why were you taken off the air?
Too much foul language, man.
Oh my.
So I wasn't crazy about that one myself.
It's our biggest, fattest, zeroest event ever. Well, that's what it is. The Big Fat Zero event at the all-new Toyota of Montgomery. Buy a new Toyota with zero money down, 0% APR financing, zero payments till next year. What can be better?
Winning the lottery?
Sure, but then you'd have to pay a lot of taxes, pay your family, pay for a lawyer.
I prefer the Big Fat Zero.
Of course! Because when you buy a new Toyota from Toyota of Montgomery, you don't pay a penny down, a penny in interest, and not a penny till 2024. Get to the Big Fat Zero event and at Toyota of Montgomery. Online at toyotamontgomery.com.
$0 down on select new vehicles. 0% APR financing on select new 2023 vehicles with approved credit through dealer preferred lender with $100K financing limit. Maximum payment of $1,000 per month through 2024 plus tax, title, license, and $995 doc fee. May not be combined with some offers. Ends 8/31/2023.
Are you tired of the mainstream media's biased reporting? Do you want to stay informed on the news that really matters to you? Look no further than 1819 News. At 1819 News, we bring you the latest in Alabama news, politics, sports, culture, and more. We've assembled a team of journalists with Alabama values dedicated to the truth and the truth alone. Visit us at 1819news.com today. That's 1819news.com. Subscribe to our newsletter. Honest News, Alabama Values. This hour of news and views is brought to you by our good friends at Alabama Home Mortgage. Alabama Home Mortgage, 567-4223. Visit them on the web at myalabamahomemortgage.com. NMLS number 1586368. An equal housing lender.
The River Region's first and only news talk station on FM. Live, local talk. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Welcome back to News and Views in the afternoon. This part of the program brought to you by Bo Goodson and the Goodson Group. And they're the Goodson Group bonus team Well, they have a unique understanding of the river region real estate market because, well, Bo has been serving Montgomery and the surrounding areas for over 4 decades, 40 plus years, just under Bo's, belt alone. Bo has been doing this for a while, folks. He's seen it all, the good, the bad, and the ugly. In fact, that not only can help you with buying or selling a property here in the Montgomery and surrounding areas, it also helps if you want to rent out your home. That's a great idea in this market, but you probably don't want to manage that rental investment yourself. Why not for a reasonable fee have Bo and the Goodson Group do it for you? Then all that experience, the good, the bad, and the ugly, all that stuff Bo's been through, it really comes into play at the Bo Goodson Real Estate School, one of the most highly acclaimed real estate programs here in the great state of Alabama. Well, because it's very interactive. And the proof is in the pudding, in the sense that so many folks, whether as licensed realtors or as more knowledgeable private players, have gone through Bo Goodson's Real Estate School and hit the ground running, finding success. So check them out today. You can always go to thegoodsongroup.com or give them a call at 551-0225. That's 551-0225. Bo Goodson and the Goodson Group. Great sponsor here of News and Views in the afternoon. Now, there's plenty more to get to today, folks. Plenty more going on, of course, in all the presidential politicking. We've got kind of like 2 videos, 2 ads. One put out by the Senate Republicans, another put out by the Trump War Room. And I think these 2 ads, these 2 attack ads against the Democrats or whatever they want to sell, they represent the divide in the Republican Party almost perfectly. Because the divide is over policy. Say the war in Ukraine is a big wedge issue within the GOP, which I wish it was more of a wedge issue across the board. No matter your politics, right or left, I would hope more Americans could see through this sham that isn't affecting things well. But beyond things like policy, like war, the GOP is really divided also on like messaging. Like, how do you say a certain thing to certain folks? And, well, let's just say the Senate Republicans and the Trump War Room have different takes on how to sell the Republican brand to the folks. Of course, there's plenty more going on here in Montgomery as we get closer and closer to local election day. So coming up, my op-ed out today, and I essentially say that this mayoral race here in Montgomery essentially proves in a small way, it's one data point, of how all politics is now national, not local. And you see how the campaigns are conducted, well, there you go. We don't even seem to have good local community anymore. We're all hooked up to, well, especially Montgomery in the last few days, the national narratives. We'll get to that in just a second. But of course, Coach Tuberville still fighting the good fight. Chris Murphy, the senator, I believe, from Connecticut, the nutmeg state, said that Tuberville is prepared to burn the military down. It was a little hyperbolic. A little much. A little bit hyperbolic there, Chris. And of course, the whole Sound of Freedom thing, the child trafficking, it's just a QAnon maggot brain conspiracy, right? Oh, well, the Texas state troopers, I believe, rescued over 900 smuggled children at the southern border recently. That's just the kids they saved. They rescued. How many more are not? A lot of problems in this city, in this state, in this country, in this world. But it would be nice if people just start looking at them directly without fear or favor. But I'm not going to wish on that too much. You can wish in one hand and crap in the other, see which one fills up first. Or some point I was trying to make. It's all crap, folks. That's what I'm saying. But yet, we trudge on. And there are still little glimmers of hope, no doubt. More news and views in the afternoon after this.
Joey Clark.
Want to carry News Talk in your pocket? Download the News Talk 93.1 app from the App Store. Available on iPhone and Android. Never miss a moment. Download now.
Hello, folks. This is Dr. Sam. I'm broadcasting on location right here, Blue Water Broadcasting at Riverside Chevrolet. I'll be here till 2 o'clock today. And let me ask you something. Did you know that 1 in every 3 people are expected to be diagnosed with cancer in their lifetime? 1 in 3. So what are we doing? We're calling it something special, Operation Help and Hope. Now, this is all we need. We need your help. That's it. And you can help us out by joining the Operation Help and Hope by bringing some items, kind of like, and new in the packaging, please. Fuzzy socks, Boost nutritional drinks, blankets, digital thermometers, hard candy, pill boxes, travel size tissues, also some hand sanitizers, lip balm, and puzzle books and pens. It would help out these patients tremendously. It's traumatic and dramatic enough when you hear the letter C. So let's help them out, folks. We need your help. We're asking for you to drop off those donations right here at Riverside Chevrolet, 231 in Wetumpka.
This is Evan Bass for Montgomery Men's Health. When you started your relationship, you probably never thought about erectile dysfunction impacting the life you have with the one you love. You see, ED doesn't just have physical effects. It has psychological effects as well. If you have it, like millions of men do, you likely know exactly what I'm talking about. ED affects your attitude, your confidence, your outlook on life. But what you may not know is that it could also affect your partner. It's hard for guys to talk about, and a lot of times the partner blames himself. And that's not something you want in your relationship. Now's the time to call us and do something about your ED, even if other treatments haven't worked, especially if you haven't talked about it before. Montgomery Men's Health treats ED in low T. Our urologists and providers offer a variety of treatments and treatment combinations that are geared toward results. So call us today. Your initial appointment is $99 and includes a hormone lab panel. Call 334-440-3663 or go to montgomerymenshealth.com.
Do you have a cell phone or tablet that isn't charging, dying fast, or maybe the screen is damaged? Don't get suckered into buying a new one. XI Repair can fix your current device same day and in under 30 minutes. Their certified technicians fix and recover data from thousands of cell phones, computers, tablets, game consoles, and drones 7 days a week. Give them a call today at 334-777-1234 or visit them online at xirepair.com.
Looking for a new career with flexible hours, competitive pay, generous paid time off, and countless benefits? Then visit us at our job fair for the Riverside Marketplace at Wind Creek, Wetumpka, from 2 to 7 p.m. on Tuesdays, August 15th and 22nd, and Thursday, September 7th at the Entertainment Center. Can't make it? No problem. You can also visit our Career Center at Wind Creek, Wetumpka from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. Monday through Friday. Kickstart your new career today.
This hour of news and views is brought to you by our good friends at Alabama Home Mortgage. Alabama Home Mortgage, 567-4223. Visit them on the web at myalabamahomemortgage.com. NMLS number 1586368, an equal housing lender.
The Rich Thomas Weather Network, brought to you by Alabama Wholesale Lumber. Alabama Wholesale Lumber, the best quality building materials in the River region for decades. From common builds to special orders and local delivery. Call Alabama Wholesale Lumber.
Rich Thomas weather.
Well, hi, everybody. No big changes in our forecast. The heat and humidity are still in place with the risk of some strong storms fueled by this heat. Today's actual high temperature in the low to mid 90s, but triple-digit heat indices again, and a generous supply of showers and storms, especially this afternoon and this evening, some possibly severe with damaging wind gusts the main threat. Our weather app will keep you on top of the action. Low tonight in the mid 70s. Tomorrow and Thursday, more scattered random storms. We'll be in the mid-90s again both days, and triple-digit heat indices will remain. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
CB&S Bank has a long history of stability and a legacy of serving our community's needs for generations since we began in 1906. At CB&S Bank, we're here for you. All loans subject to credit approval, member FDIC, and equal housing lender.
Live, local talk. The River Region's most trusted voice for news and opinion. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back to News and Views in the afternoon. And I think we've got it. I think we've got this fella on the stream. Eddie's outside. I guess that's a hotel room. Eddie, how you doing from Jamaica?
Man, Joey, I'm doing great. I know it's hot where you guys at, but right now I'm having to stand in the sun to catch this Wi-Fi signal. It is hotter than Haiti's here.
How hot we talking?
I'm on the beach. Well, I mean 88, but you got a beach breeze coming off the beach, so it's a little bit cooler. But
you bastard!
I mean,
you bastard!
I mean, the beach. I'll show it to you. It's right there. It's a long ways from my hotel room. That's like 50 feet. So
a long ways, yeah.
Beach. Now the new beach is a little further away. And
so you actually have to travel, walk a little more. You got to work those hams before you check out those hams.
Exactly.
Okay.
But it's great here, Joey. I wish you were here, man. I really miss you guys. I caught that interview you did with the captain yesterday, and I just want to tell you, friend to friend, Joey, that was awesome. We were flying when all that happened,
amazing.
So I didn't really get much information. So listening to you and the captain, that really brought a lot of things into perspective.
Well, and as of now,
Man,
over
look at
35,000
the camera
people watch it.
35,000 people, really?
On Facebook alone. It's more than that on Twitter.
Wow, that's incredible. Well, I'm going to call you again tomorrow, but I think I'll be in the lobby, so I'll have a little bit better Wi-Fi. And probably a little bit better.
Well, yeah, well, hopefully we'll have a better connection tomorrow. And it's great seeing you, man, seeing you happy. And what a hotel. I need to go with you next time. Let's do a trip sometime soon.
Please come down. I found some hot cougars looking for a guy like you, Joey.
Okay, now, look at the time. Appreciate it, Eddie. We'll talk again soon.
See you, brother. You man.
Feelings mutual. 272-9228. Of course, gotta love Eddie. Yeah, get out of here. Get out of here, Bader. Don't want you bragging about your Jamaica trip. Yeah, he's a good guy. He deserves it. Anyway, this part of the program brought to you by Alabama Home Mortgage. And there at Alabama Home Mortgage, Kim Williams and her team, well, they're ready to help you. Whether you're looking to buy a home, could be you're a first-time home buyer, could be it's not your first rodeo. But either way, you're going to want to work with Kim and Madeline there at Alabama Home Mortgage. The reason? Well, number one, they're trusted, and they've earned that trust. They've earned their reputation. They're going to actually sit down with you, actually get to know you, get to know your goals in buying a home or refinancing a home. And there are not going to be any surprises throughout the process. Like, there's not going to be a surprise on closing day if you're buying a home through Alabama Home Mortgage. You're not going to get any weird letters when it comes to refinancing. And if you're a veteran, there's nobody better than Kim and Madeline there at Alabama Home Mortgage. They are VA Home Loan certified, so they know the latest with the VA Home Loan programs. It's the best game in town. For instance, if you're looking to refi as a veteran, you can refinance up to 100% of your home's estimated value. Incredible deal. So check them out today. You can always call Kim and her team at 567-4223. That's 567-4223. You can also visit them on the web at myalabamahomemortgage.com. There is a difference in mortgage companies. Let Kim and Madeline prove that to you today. NMLS number 1586368, an equal housing lender. Always good to see Eddie there. A little, run-in from Jamaica. Should have gone. But I wouldn't be here to help with all this big breaking news going on surrounding Montgomery. I don't know how much I like this. Can't we go back to just being a sleepy little town? A few thousand churches? We'll be right back.
He may not know whether he's coming or going, But whether you're going to work or coming home, Greg Budell is there. Mornings 6 till 9 and afternoons 3 till 6. Only on News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
I know where I'm going. You're gonna wanna come too. Down to Mama's Produce, where there's something for you. Something for you.
Hey y'all, this is Tammy
And Moo Mammy
at Mama's Produce. Y'all come on down and see us. We've got tomatoes, watermelon, ice cream, all sorts of stuff for you this summer. So check us out on Facebook
and you'll know where you're going to.
This hour of news and views is brought to you by our good friends at Alabama Home Mortgage. Alabama Home Mortgage, 567-4223. Visit them on the web at myalabamahomemortgage.com. NMLS number 1586368. An equal housing lender.
The River Region's News Talk station. News Talk 93.1 WACV. News Talk 93.1.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back, folks. 272-9228. If you want to get in on the program, on the conversation. Now, as promised, I want to bring to you my op-ed. And it's about, well, local Montgomery. And what's the old saying? All politics is local. Well, all politics, at least in a free society, should be local, but they're not. Not in America today. Formally, this still holds true. We still have local elections. We might even pretend such local municipal elections are quote-unquote nonpartisan. But informally, the true bill of Republican self-government, all politics is local, has almost vanished from the political scene. Driven away by national party politics as well as the broader culture wars. Fueled by the many-headed leviathan of social media, the corporate press, the university systems, and the bureaucratic administrative state, the American people are thoroughly conditioned into believing certain carefully crafted narratives at the expense of their local bonds and identity. Do not assume your local community is immune to the intoxicating and deleterious effects of national propaganda, especially when ambitious local politicians would be negligent or inept at their jobs if they didn't exploit such trends to their full advantage. If they don't actually take the time to exploit such a ready-made repository of gullibility and credulity, what the heck are they even in politics for? An ambitious local politician, if he is clever and practical, understands that he swims in national waters and should use the currents and the riptide to his benefit, rather than fight the inevitable to exhaustion. Take, for instance, the 2023 Montgomery mayoral election. Ever since challenger Barrett Gilbreth entered the race, Montgomery Mayor Stephen Reed hasn't shied away from the informal truth. He's embraced the national currents. Yes, municipal elections in Alabama are technically nonpartisan, whereby candidates are not required to align with a particular political party. Despite this formal matter of fact, Stephen Reed knows he is a partisan Democrat through and through. Why shy away from it? He knows many of his voters are also partisan Democrats all day, every day. Why deny it? Why would Stephen Reed hide behind a fake nonpartisan facade when he can honestly run as the Democrat he is, milking national partisan divisions all the way to his re-election? That seems to be Reed's strategy, and it seems like a sound approach, if winning is what matters most. As much as Montgomery voters claim to care about crime, better schools, more economic opportunity, nothing gets people more fired up than appeals to that pervasive petty prejudice known as partisanship. In July, Reed's campaign began suggesting his challenger, Barrett Gilbreth, was funded by the Alabama GOP. Alabama GOP chairman John Wall swiftly denied such allegations as quote-unquote outright lies, but that hasn't deterred the Reed campaign from pressing their partisan advantages. Nothing excites Democrats more than the feeling that they're fighting back against the sinister GOP's deplorable retrogression and benighted bigotry. It doesn't matter if it's literally true or not. People have been trained and conditioned by the national propaganda machine to believe it. For the Reed campaign, that means these national partisan memes are too effective to be left on the table. Last Friday, Reed's campaign was given a huge gift: the high-profile Montgomery visit of President Donald J. Trump. local Montgomery literally became the center of national politics that evening. The Reid campaign, of course, didn't miss a beat, blasting out this mass text to Montgomery residents. Here's a quote of the text, folks. Quote, Donald Trump is campaigning today in Montgomery alongside extremist Senator Tommy Tuberville. This appearance comes barely 24 hours after Trump's scheduled arraignment in court after his third indictment. Both the Alabama GOP and Donald Trump are spreading lies and degrading our democracy. And it's no surprise because the Alabama GOP is doing the same thing here in Montgomery. They're funding Mayor Reid's conservative opponent and doing everything in their power to take Montgomery backwards. We need to support leaders like Mayor Reid who are willing to stand up to their lies and who will defend our democracy. Again, it doesn't matter if any of the previously mentioned that text, if anything in that text is literally true. Doesn't matter. If literal truth was the most important thing in this world, practical politics would be impossible. Yet practical politics remains practical for a reason. It works. And it works on account of how well a politician plays on the people's fear, envy, loyalty, and sense of identity, not their sensitivity or fealty to literal facts. In post-persuasion America, the name of the game is to mobilize the already faithful rather than convert the faithless to your cause. In post-persuasion America, neighbors can't just be neighbors, independent of national narratives. Everyone must pick a side. All politics is local has indeed been trampled underfoot by revolutionary marchers carrying the messianic banner, making the world safe for democracy. The American people and their leaders wish to foster a spirit of liberty once again. It would be wise to remember that the American democracy, once praised by the likes of Alexis de Tocqueville, was local, voluntary, and infused with the spirit of religion, held together by faith and hope in the villagers to manage their own affairs on their own terms, rather than submit to a central plan. In the meantime, ambitious and clever politicians, local or otherwise, will do whatever is necessary to advance their interest, punishing their enemies and rewarding their friends. They may even use the local community as a stepping stone to some greater ambition like federal office, maybe Congress. After all politics is now national, and political climbers can't help their climbing. 272-9228 if you want to get in on the conversation. If you want to read that op-ed for yourself, folks, it's right there at 1819 News. The Montgomery mayoral race shows all politics are now national. And you know what? I think it's true. 272-9228. This part of the program brought to you by Dylan Rings. Josh and Leslie Ryder there, Dylan Rings. Folks, they do amazing work. They are a true full-service jewelry shop. They're so good, other jewelers in town go to them. So what do you mean by full service? I mean, on-site jewelry repair done by Josh himself, watch repairs, jewelry appraisal, custom design. I'll tell you more about that in detail coming up later in the show. Spa treatment, stone replacement, pearl stringing. If you can dream it, Josh and Leslie can make it a reality. And of course, they have great selections there in stock at 119 Brown Springs Road. It could be you want everyday jewelry, something you can wear, and it gets a little messy or you lose it. It's not the end of the world, but you still want to look nice. Or maybe you're looking for a top dollar item, maybe to commemorate a special anniversary in somebody's life. They have all of that there at Dylan Rings. So check them out today. You can always go to DylanRings.com. That's DylanRings.com, or give them a call at 215-3669. But the best way to work with Josh and Leslie Ryder there at Dylan Rings is to, just go by their showroom at 119 Brown Springs Road here in Montgomery, just off of Atlanta Highway. And be sure to tell Josh and Leslie Ryder there at Dylan Rings that Joey from News and Views in the Afternoon sent you. I'll tell you more about him a little later here in the program. Let's hit a quick break, top of the hour break, 272-9228 if you want to get in. Hold your positions if you're on hold. So we're getting a lot of call volume today. Be right back.
Joey Clark.
Broadcasting from the Riverside Chevrolet Master Control Center, this is WACV Cusada, News Talk 93.1 FM. When it's Chevy, it's Riverside.
With SRN News, I'm John Scott. Communities in the eastern U.S. clearing away downed trees and power lines after severe weather killed at least 2 people, knocked out power to more than 1.1 million homes and businesses, and canceled or delayed thousands of flights. In South Carolina, officials say a 15-year-old boy was killed when a large tree fell him. In Alabama, officials say a 28-year-old worker was struck by lightning and died. Zoom became a symbol of remote work during the pandemic, but the company is now joining a growing return to office trend. Zoom is asking employees who live within a 50-mile radius of its offices to work on-site at least 2 days a week. On Wall Street, the Dow is down 238 points and the Nasdaq losing 140. This is SRN News.
The recent bank failures are serving as a warning about how fragile our banking system really is. As millions of Americans panic, do you know what central banks are doing? Well, they're actually buying up gold at record levels. They're relying on it as a safe haven during these difficult times. That's how confident they are in the dollar. Hi, I'm Lance Wallnow, Christian author and evangelical leader to millions of people just like you. We're all Americans who want to protect our family's savings no matter what. I tell people the best option is to diversify their 401k or IRA into physical gold or silver with the help of Birch Gold Group. To see how it works, just text the word FAITH to the number 989898 to get a free information kit on gold IRAs. Look, there's no strings attached. It's not going to hurt you to take action now. So take the first step today and educate yourself. Get your free info kit when you text FAITH to 989898 right now. And I pray you and your family are greatly blessed.
Rich Thomas Weather is brought to you by JB Windows and Siding. Call Jones Brothers. You'll be glad you did.
JB Windows and Siding has what you're looking for. Rich Thomas Weather.
Well, hi, everybody. No big changes in our forecast. The heat and humidity are still in place with the risk of some strong storms fueled by this heat. Today's actual high temperature in the low to mid-90s, but triple-digit heat indices again, and a generous supply of showers and storms, especially this afternoon and this evening, some possibly severe with damaging wind gusts the main threat. Our weather app will keep you on top of the action. Low tonight in the mid-70s. Tomorrow and Thursday, more scattered random storms. We'll be in the mid-90s again both days, and triple-digit heat indices will remain. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
At ASE Credit Union, financing your next adventure is easier than ever with rates as low as 5.25%. Apply online or visit your local branch today. Federally insured by the NCUA, Equal Opportunity Lender.
ASE Credit Union, your life, your goals, your ASE.
1819 News.
The captain of the Harriet II riverboat is now telling his story when it comes to the Riverfront Brawl in Montgomery this past weekend that has received national headlines. Captain Jim Cottrell called into News Talk 93.1 to discuss the melee with Joey Clark of News and Views. Cottrell says this was not a fight that had any racial component to it, but could have been prevented if drunk boaters had simply moved their boat from blocking a ramp.
So finally I said, okay, now I'm going to call the police to get your boat moved. And when they get down here, they're going to see the alcohol that you have on your boat. I said, I don't think you want that. And they started shooting birds at us.
Oh, no.
I hate to say it. The country's going to see this as a black and white thing, right. And that's not what it is.
I'll be back with more on this particular story after this.
Covenant Rescue Group seeks to directly support organizations and agencies that are fighting the global battle against human trafficking. They do this through funding, procuring, and advocating. You can go to covenantrescue.org for further details. They need your donations, guys. Hop on and donate.
Captain Cottrell told Joey Clark that the group of boaters blocking the ramp were asked to move their boat multiple times but refused and then walked away. That is when Cottrell's first mate went over to move the boat.
My two deckhands went over there. After they moved it, those guys came running back. They must have still been in the park or up in the gazebo or something. We're 30 yards away from the dock watching all this. At one time, it was like six, seven guys on my deckhand who was just trying to move the boat.
The rest of the riverboat crew went after those who had beaten up their first mate. Cottrell says it's unfortunate that crew members got involved, but they work as a team together and could not stand to see their first mate be attacked.
It was difficult for me to sit there in the wheelhouse watching him being attacked. And the whole time I'm on the PA, stop. But they wasn't even stopping them.
I'm Andrea Tice.
For more news affecting Alabamians, go to 1819news.com. And while you're there, subscribe to the daily newsletter.
This hour of News and Views is brought to you by our good friends at Cole Plumbing, 279-8919. Cole Plumbing is number one in the number two business. You don't have to dig a hole. They have proprietary pipelining technology. Ask them about their tankless water heaters. Remember, when you have trouble with your bowl, call on Cole.
Hey Mike, I heard you're traveling to Washington next week. Sounds like a fun trip. Why the frown on your face?
Well, it's gonna take me 2 days to get to and from DC for a meeting that will last less than an hour. And because of that, I'm going to miss my son's baseball game.
Have you heard? The Montgomery Airport now has direct nonstop flights to Washington, D.C. You fly out the day before your meeting and be back in Montgomery the next day, all in time to catch the evening ball game.
That's a win then. I'll be flying MGM.
The views and opinions of the following program are solely those of the host and other contributors. These do not necessarily represent those of Liberty Acquisitions 825, Blue Water Broadcasting, its management, staff, or any advertisers. It's time for Montgomery's conversational radio show. It's News and Views on News Talk 93.1 FM. To join the conversation, call 272-9228.
Welcome back to News and Views in the afternoon. I'm your host, Joey Clark. Got plenty of calls rolling in here. So let's go right to the folks. Let's go to Jason. I haven't heard from him in a while. How you doing, Jason?
Good afternoon. How you doing?
Good.
Good. Hey, I heard you read your op-ed, at least a portion of it, and I guess my response to that is that's a lazy outlook in the sense that we're not oblivious to how social media is set up. We're not oblivious to what comes on the news, national news. We're not oblivious to the fact that most of the things we see on social media, most of the things we see on TV, don't impact our lives one way or the other. Mm-hmm. If we want to focus on our local community, that's a choice. We can decide to go volunteer at the hospital, at your church, somebody else's church, the Family Sunshine Center, the Friendship Mission. You can decide to get off your hind end, as some folks like to call it, and go do something. But it's easier for you to pull out your phone, scroll on social media, and be a troll, and get all in a lather over something that ain't got nothing to do with you. That's not social media's fault, because don't nobody throw a gun on you and make you go on Twitter. You can turn it off whenever you get ready. Matter of fact, I know plenty of people, including myself. I've never had a social media account. Don't plan on making one. And my life gets along just fine.
Well, if I didn't have this job, I wouldn't have one. And Jason, I agree with you. I share your aspiration. My point, though, was descriptive. And I think I described what's going on in this world fairly accurately. It's a lament, is what I'm saying. I wish it was more local. And I don't think it's just a matter of lack of responsibility, though there's certainly that. What you just pointed to. I think we're not gods. We are limited in our understanding. We are bounded. We are conditioned by the media we consume and the institutions that surround us. And so I don't necessarily fault the average American or average bear that gets caught up in this stuff, but it's the reality of our system right now.
I hear what you're saying, but again, it's a choice. Because the funny thing is, I think sometimes you strike a balance. Sometimes I feel like you're a little bit more right. Most times you try to strike a balance. And most time on 93.1, I hear people call in talking about personal accountability, personal responsibility, and all of that. But when you look at social media or the government at large, and you say, well, it's the algorithm that's feeding all these people all these lies. They don't have no choice. Or it's the deep state controlling the government, and it don't matter what you do. Well, what that does is it takes agency away from people, and it helps them to rationalize not changing their own behavior. Because if you don't want certain things going on in your neighborhood, you can do something about it. There may not be anything you can do about what's going on in New York, California, Nebraska, but in your backyard, if you really wanted to, you could find the time and find a way to make a difference. But again, that will require you to do something that you don't want to do, and that's change. I know people are resistant to change, but I think it's lazy to blame it on an external source when we have all the power that we need to do something different. We just choose not to. And so we have the politicians we vote for, we have the platforms we support, all the things that exist are because we feed into it. It's a loop. So the algorithm can't feed you nothing you don't search for. So if you don't want the algorithm to feed you anything, then go somewhere else. Do something different.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with that at all. I think you're preaching the right message.
I don't know. I just think people need to make different decisions, and they'll get different outcomes.
Oh, amen. I often say on the show, Jason, that like you have to first look at yourself, look in the mirror. Like, are you getting shadow banned or does your content suck? Come on, that's one silly example. But I mean, in life in general, and I'm dead serious about this. If you have to first work on yourself and look in the mirror, and once you're doing your damnedest, and there are a lot of people who are, then you can look and go, okay, the system's rigged in this way or that, and you can work to change it. And, I don't think the average bear is going to end up being a president or a senator or a mayor. I think the calling of service from the average person is just a few people, but that's enough to make a life. And yeah, I think I was asked by NBC News at that Trump event, the big GOP dinner event, like, how are we going to end the polarization? And I just looked at her and said, I don't think politics, Trump or Biden, anybody, is going to solve this stuff. Like, our division now is deeper than politics.
Yeah, but you know what? The funny thing is, when I listen to 93.1, I don't agree with 95% of the stuff out here. Just keeping it a buck with you. But I would guarantee you, some of the conversations that's had is much easier to have when you ain't looking folks in the face. Because believe it or not, it's Democrats that live in Montgomery. There's Republicans that live in Montgomery that live side by side. They cut each other's grass. They go to church together. Their kids go to school together. They go to Little League and all these other sports together, and they get along just fine.
Right.
Don't despite what happened at the pier the other day, a dock or whatever, that's an outlier event. Most of us get along just fine. And if we were to have a conversation about whatever national thing or even local thing, you know what? We'd be awfully civil and cordial with each other, and we'd find a way to work it out. But when you're able to get on the radio and can't nobody see you, you can use a handle, don't nobody know who you are, or you can get on social media and have a fake account. It's awfully amazing how easy it is for you to be just downright counterproductive. And that's not social media's fault. That's our fault because we decided to do it.
I had a teacher at Auburn named Murray Jardine. Dr. Jardine was, the word is communitarian, big Catholic. And in his book that he wrote, one of his biggest gripes is that cities and our society in general, but in particular our cities, are not designed for face-to-face interaction. And he makes a pretty detailed, I think backs up the claim well, that it is that face-to-face mirroring one another, actually having to look at the pain or the happiness in somebody's face across from you. And we are losing that. But I will say I've started live streaming the show so everybody can see my face, and I'm not ashamed to say my hair looks luxurious of late. So I'm happy to put my face out there.
No, I just think we all got to take a certain amount of responsibility for what we do. And if we want to see things be different, we got to do things different. And when you look at political office and you see that 95% of the time an incumbent is going to win, that tells you that the people vote for the same folks over and over and over again. Good or bad, don't matter. So then when people get to scream about term limits, oh, Trump is too old, Biden is too old. Well, stop voting for him. They didn't get in office on accident.
Right.
Ricky Shelby didn't become 900 years old in office.
Right.
On accident. It's because we voted for him. Well, I didn't vote for him, but that's because my neighbors and the people in Alabama voted for him for almost 40 years or whatever. So if we want it to be different, we got to do something different, and that may include turning off Twitter, social media for a while, going outside, touching grass, talking to your neighbor, doing something, walking in the park, something.
Yeah, go pet a dog or something. But
it's addictive. I get it. I don't want to minimize it. I know it's addictive, just like smoking for some people, eating, drinking, whatever. But you can't then turn around and blame the world because you done got enthralled in what's going on Twitter, and it don't affect your life one way or the other. You could turn it off tomorrow and it wouldn't matter.
Well, and I got to run here in a second, Jason, but you just brought up a memory, and I've said it often on these airwaves that if I look at Twitter or X or whatever it's called these days before I have caffeine, if I make the mistake of looking at that in the morning early, I really go to a place of like nuke the world, giant meteor 2024. But then, I was in one of those moods one morning getting ready for the show, and Eddie showed up in his usual big old self, and he started talking about his grandkids and how one of his grandkids tried cheesecake for the first time on Sunday. And he described that kid dancing like it was the greatest thing in the world. And I'm like, okay, that's the stuff. Thank God there's stuff like that. And it's those little beautiful moments you got to be looking for that remind you, it's worth it despite all the BS these days.
Yeah, but we create our own monsters.
Yep.
And then we get mad that we got to fight them. Well, don't create them. We can do something different. Social media don't live in a vacuum. It ain't no foreign entity. If folks decide tomorrow, you know what, I'm gonna disconnect from that stuff. Mark Zuckerberg wouldn't be a billionaire. Elon Musk will lose more money than he already lost. Like you can nip that in the bud real quick, but we don't. And it's a bug of our humanity that we like chaos and lying and carrying on. But that's our fault. So, I get your point. But I think it's all a product of us. And I think we can't get away from that. And I don't think we should.
It is the way out. I think you're absolutely right. Well, I appreciate the call, Jason. Great one.
Later.
272-9228. Hey, Crawdad, how you doing?
Hey, man. Home rule, I think you were talking about to talk about. Was that kind of concept that we've gotten away from the home rule where we had the high sheriff, that was your little community, and the high sheriff was there to keep the peace, and then you could go get on your mule and go down to the other little side of the slough and then cross down into the other holler, and there was a different community with their little high sheriff. We're now all connected by this virtual world, like you said, but that thing about don't let a good crisis go to waste. What I see as a crisis that is not going to waste, Joey Clark, across the country, everything that your basic commodities, they are gouging us to the point, and you mentioned the word conditioning. I think that's part of the gig, is to get us conditioned that this product is going to cost you this. It's just the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
And we stop fussing. When you stop fussing and just lay down and accept it, you might as well call yourself a Frenchie during World War II when the Nazis rolled into Paris. That having been said, it makes it, because I appreciate what Jason was saying a whole lot. I disagree with about the 90% that he disagrees with. You guys get a lot right, a whole lot right. My charitable contributions, I have to keep on doing what I'm doing because that's all I can do in my community and outside my community. When they hit me in the wallet making everything I have to have go up, it makes it more difficult for me to share and be charitable. Right. Extrapolate that to all your community services because the government is not your church, and that's what they want.
Well, and just to underline the point, and great call, Crawdad, what de Tocqueville was getting at was, I think, even deeper than a political arrangement, like the high sheriff who's in charge at the local level, though that's part of it. He was more getting at, like, it was a revolution that starts in Europe and then really blooms in the United States. But it's this, let's say it starts with the Dutch. It starts kind of in Northern Europe and in the UK. It's this idea that the town people, if you let them be and let them pursue their own interests, they'll make themselves and everybody else richer. And the way folks came to that understanding of we can have material benefit is they had a breakthrough in terms of faith, that you don't need, clergy and ivory towers interpreting everything. You don't need kings and queens and nobility steering you around and treating you like a serf. No, you actually can commune with God yourself. And we can have faith and build these communities. And that's, I think, what we're losing the most is sort of the stuff you can't put a price on, the dynamic local bonds that are hard to describe. And you could never describe maybe in a national press story.
Kind of like what Jason was saying. If you really want to make a difference, we can. Just help a neighbor. Do something to be helpful, and you will sleep better at night.
Right.
Thanks, Joey.
Appreciate it, Crawdad. 272-9228 if you want to get in on the conversation like these last two gentlemen. I appreciate both calls there. This part of the program, well, brought to you by Ashley and her team at Pest Pro Services. Now, talk about folks that are just giving back constantly. Ashley and her team are always giving back to the community. It was great going to that grand reopening. They have a brand new location for Pest Pro Services. They're on Main Street in Millbrook. And on Main Street, Millbrook, you can see those new digs, those Pest Pro digs. But when I went to that grand opening, I realized that, oh, wow. Like, look at all the people here supporting Ashley and her team, and it's because Ashley and her team supports so many folks. And, of course, they offer also great pest control services, whether you have an emergency like termite destruction or mosquitoes really just, it's too much, or you find a huge wasp nest in your attic or something like that. But I recommend making Pest Pro Services your everyday pest control company. So call them up today. Ask them to come on by, check out, and start servicing your property. 265-9990 is their number. That's 265-9990. You can also go to pbsriverregion.com or just search Pest Pro Services on the Book of Faces. When you want to know, call a pro. Pest Pro Services. And be sure to tell Ashley and her team that Joey from News and Views in the Afternoon sent you. More news and views, well, after this quick break.
Want to carry News Talk in your pocket? Download the News Talk 93.1 app from the App Store. Available on iPhone and Android. Never miss a moment. Download now.
Hi, this is Bo Goodson from the Bo Goodson Real Estate School. The kids are going back to school. How about the parents? Our new classes for pre-license begin September 14th, right around the corner. Every Thursday night from 6 to 9 p.m., we teach about contracts, negotiation, agency, pricing a home to sell, how to make money buying investment property, in all over 20 different real estate topics. Start your new career with us. If you've been thinking about getting into the real estate business, here's where you start. Begin now with the best. Interactive classes, no video, open forum. We also offer couples discount and a military discount or first responder discount. How about starting your new career now? Sit in for the first night and see how you like it before you go forward. For all the information, call Bo Goodson at 221-2883, Bo Goodson Real Estate School.
Hi there, I'm Kim Williams with Alabama Home Mortgage. For years, I've been asking you to call me at Alabama Home Mortgage because there is a difference in mortgage companies. Did you know the current national average turn time to close on a mortgage is 48 business days? But not at Alabama Home Mortgage. At Alabama Home Mortgage, our average close time is 16 business days. That's a month faster than the rest. How do we do it? With over 60 years of combined experience in the industry. Our team knows mortgages. Our years of experience yield a better experience for our customers. Folks, time is money. Whether you're looking to buy or refi, don't waste time with another mortgage company, bank, or credit union. We close on time, every time. Give Alabama Home Mortgage a call at 567-4223. That's 567-4223. Or visit us online at myalabamahomemortgage.com to complete an application on your time. Our fast turn time is just one difference that sets us apart from the rest. It's not just a slogan. Call Alabama Home Mortgage because there is a difference in mortgage companies. NMLS 1586-36-8, Equal Housing Lender.
It's our biggest, fattest, zeroest event ever. Well, that's what it is. The Big Fat Zero event at the all-new Toyota of Montgomery. Buy a new Toyota with zero money down, 0% APR financing, zero payments till next year. What can be better?
Winning the lottery?
Sure, but then you'd have to pay a lot of taxes, pay your family, pay for a lawyer.
I prefer the Big Fat Zero.
Of course. Because when you buy a new Toyota from Toyota of Montgomery, you don't pay a penny down, a penny in interest, and not a penny till 2024. Get to the Big Fat Zero event and at Toyota of Montgomery. Online at toyotamontgomery.com.
$0 down on select new vehicles. 0% APR financing on select new 2023 vehicles with approved credit through dealer preferred lender with $100K financing limit. Maximum payment of $1,000 per month through 2024 plus tax, title, license, and $995 doc fee. May not be combined with some offers. Ends 8/31/2023.
For too long, Alabama's statewide news companies have shamed us for our conservative Christian values. Alabama deserves a news company that cherishes our culture, a company that isn't bought and paid for by the powers that be. 1819 News is that company. Run by Alabamians for Alabamians, 1819 News celebrates what is good and beautiful about our state, while exposing those who work against our values in secret. Just go to 1819news.com to learn more. Subscribe to our newsletter. That's 1819news.com. This hour of News and Views is brought to you by our good friends at Cole Plumbing, 279-8919. Cole Plumbing is number one in the number two business. You don't have to dig a hole. They have proprietary pipelining technology. Ask them about their tankless water heaters. Remember, when you have trouble with your bowl, call on Cole.
Live local talk. The River Region's only 24-hour News Talk FM station. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back to News and Views in the afternoon. I'm your host, Joey Clark. 272-9228 if you want to get in on the program. This is part of News and Views brought to you by XI Repair. And there at XI Repair, Jonathan Strange and his team can help you with smartphone repairs. Could be a cracked screen, water damage of some sort. Could be you got a dirty port. You might think, hey, my connector's broken. No. Your port's dirty, bro. Or you could have a speaker port clogged. It'd be water damage. You drop it in the toilet or the pool or the lake or the beach or something. They can fix it there at XI Repair. It could be your battery's not holding a charge. You charge it all night. And just a few hours into the day, you're already in the red. You don't need a new phone. Just get the battery replaced. But if you are looking for a new phone, they have the latest models there at XI Repair. But also, models that are a little older, but still great products. Like an iPhone 10 for an incredible price. Samsung and Apple products, they've really got a lot of selection there at XI Repair. They can also do work on desktop computers, laptop computers, top-end gaming consoles like the PS5. I think they're the only shop for hundreds of miles that can do that sort of work on a PS5. And they also have data recovery services should you want to save or salvage something you accidentally deleted, or maybe you're going through litigation and an old business partner deleted incriminating emails and you want to find them. Well, XI Repair can recover those emails. Check them out today. You can always go to xirepair.com. That's the letter X, the letter I, repair.com. Or give them a call at 777-1234. That's 777-1234. And be sure to tell those fine folks there at XI Repair that Joey from News and Views in the Afternoon sent you. Now, one story, if we're going to embrace the craziness that is going to be this next year and a half, let's say, it's going to be nuts. There's going to be a lot of frustrating things, a lot of ominous, scary things, give you a little anxiety and apprehension, if not just outright fear. There's going to be a lot of absurd things and just nonsense spewed all the livelong day. But one thing I hope happens, just to see what it's like. Not because I think it'll help politically or whatever. It's just, this is the meat, the interview we the people deserve. When the hell is Donald Trump going to go on Joe Rogan? Well, as luck would have it, Patrick Bet-David, who's got a pretty butt-kicking podcast himself, his company Valuetainment is growing leaps and bounds. And Patrick Bet-David, if you haven't checked out his podcast work and his interviews, he's fantastic. But here he decides to press Joe Rogan on Joe's own show. When are you going to interview Trump, man? Let's listen in together.
So when you're having Trump on?
I don't know.
Okay. The look,
I don't know. Maybe.
Looks like you got something.
Maybe.
Okay, good. That's good. I think that's...
look, at a certain point in time, it's just like, it would be interesting to hear his perspective on a lot of things. I would like to know, what is it like when you actually get into office? I would like to know things like, what is it like versus perception?
Yeah.
What is it actually like when you get in that building? Like, what are you greeted with? When do you know that people are fucking with you?
Yeah, I figured there would be a point where I had to dump it out.
When do you know that the intelligence agency is lying to you? Like when you decided to fire Comey, what was the thought? How much did you know?
This is exactly the interview I want, too. Now, I think the trouble is not going to be Joe Rogan. This is going to be Trump. Does Trump want to actually do the full sit-down, the full freewheeling conversation? I have a feeling the guy would probably be good at it. And I got a feeling that Rogan wouldn't just be some pushover by any means. He's might look the way he looks. Actually, looks great for his age. But Joe is a very clever man, a fantastic interviewer, especially when he has maybe a difficult person he's interviewing. It's deferential, it's long form, but it works, and it works quite well. So maybe we'll actually get this big event. We'll actually get the whole Trump and Joe Rogan meetup here. Bet David continues to press him, by the way.
Seeing you and Trump together.
You keep pushing that.
I think, okay, I'll tell you from my perspective, on why you ought to consider it when you do it. I'll just give you my...
Okay.
Just so you know, he and I don't speak. It's not something that is like, hey, his camp saying go in there and do this and do that. No, I've never interviewed the guy, so it's not like I'm, lobbying for it. But I think if, when you think about sports or you think about fights, what is the boxing world if Frazier Ali never happens, right? What is the UFC world if DC John Jones doesn't happen or Khabib Conor doesn't happen? And they're both at their peak and those fights don't happen. We can go on with sports, with baseball, with, interviews of Oprah Winfrey, Michael Jackson. You go look at, some of these things that happen with Larry King or her and, a bunch of different guys. He's a guy that's probably the most misunderstood by a side. And a guy that...
How do you think he's misunderstood? In what way?
I think the media has really painted this guy to be evil. I like to talk to people I fully disagree with. And I think they're delusional in certain areas to understand, what makes you believe what you just said?
Right.
I don't understand what you just said.
Right.
Tell me how you could be that convinced you're right, right?
Right.
Cenk was on the podcast yesterday.
No, he's talking. You're going to go into the whole story about Cenk from the Young Turks and entertaining guy as much as I disagree with him. But I think Bet David makes a great case. This is up there with Trump is a particular force of nature in politics, whatever you think of him. Joe Rogan is a particular force of nature that's also novel and new in the media space. He's essentially the new Johnny Carson / Stern. It's like this. It's the most watched talk show in the country, most listened to as well. So it's like Trump and Rogan deserve each other in a way. We deserve to see that great meetup. But really, at the end of the day, you're also dealing with two guys that have FU money, who aren't going to back down from their point of view and their position. And maybe we'll be sitting here wishing and waiting, and it'll never come. Who knows, folks? But I would love to see that become a possibility. And the fact that Joe's talking about it publicly, that he's got guests pushing him in that regard. There was a big meetup between Rogan and Trump at the UFC fight. People caught them shaking hands and talking to one another for a second. And so maybe that will be a huge media event in the not-too-distant future. 272-9228 if you want to get in on the program. Coming up, I'm going to share two different ads. One put out by the Senate Republicans, another put out by Trump's War Room. And I'm going to play both of these back to back because it's a great way to show the division and the difference in style within the Republican Party right now. I still think it's Trump's party to run and Trump's party to run right into the ground if he so chooses. The folks that have been running the GOP for so long, well, they're still powerful, but they ain't what they used to be, and they certainly don't have the popularity that Trump does. Trump gets indicted for conspiracy against the United States and defrauding the United States government, and his poll numbers go up. Mitch McConnell tries to go to a regular Kentucky, tent pole event, and the whole crowd starts yelling at him, retire, retire, retire. So yeah, it's Donald Trump's party. And we'll see what the Senate Republicans are laying down under the leadership of Mitch. and what the Trump war room is laying down in just a second. But first, this part of the program brought to you by Josh and Leslie there at Dillon Rings. Now, of course, as we said earlier in the show, they are a full-service jewelry shop, which means repairs, even including watch repairs, but on-site jewelry repairs, jewelry appraisal, spa treatments, stone replacements, pearl stringing, and of course that custom design work. Josh Ryder is a true artist, folks. If you can dream it, Josh Ryder can make it a reality. And the process is great because you might give him an idea, he'll draw it out, then he'll do a digital rendering so you can see what that ring or that bracelet or that necklace or pendant, whatever you're looking to get done, well, you can see it actually looks on your skin tone, and then Josh can go from that digital rendering in CAD and make it a true reality, something that you could wear. And it could be to commemorate somebody you lost or to celebrate a great anniversary, or it could be, hey, I just have this fun idea. I want to put together a piece of jewelry. Josh Ryder has your back. The guy is second to none. Again, other jewelers here in town go see Josh Ryder if they need some help. So check him out today. You can always go to DillonRings.com or give him a call at 215-3669. That's 215-3669. And of course, you can always stop by. Best way to work with Josh and Leslie Ryder is to stop by 119 Brown Springs Road. Go to their showroom right off of Atlanta Highway. If you're local, you probably remember the old Fun Zone. It's right near that old Fun Zone platform where I used to work in high school. But you be sure to tell Josh and Leslie that Joey from News and Views in the Afternoon sent you. More News and Views, well, after this.
Know whether he's coming or going. But whether you're going to work or coming home, Greg Budell is there. Mornings, 6 till 9, and afternoons, 3 till 6. Only on News Talk 93.1 FM, WACV.
Hey, we're talking to Tammy. Tammy, why does everybody loves Mama's Produce?
Goodness, there's a whole lot of reasons to love Mama's Produce. We got ice cream. Man, have we got some fresh peas. We've got fresh limas. We've got watermelons, tomatoes. There's a whole lot of reasons to love Mama's.
And Tammy, I understand you got some fantastic watermelons.
Actually, right now I've got in some yellow meat, some sugar babies, some seedless, and I've got some Jubilees that just came in.
And of course, Tammy, you keep everybody up to date on your Facebook page.
We try to stay engaged on Facebook, and if I don't answer you on Facebook or Messenger, I'll sit down at the end of the day and go through them.
Tammy, that sounds good. Now tell us where you are.
We're at 1154 South Memorial Drive in Prattville. That's about a half a mile south of the Midtown McDonald's, attached to Prattville Farm Center and right across from Pig Enterprise. Yep, we close at 5:30 Monday through Friday and Saturday at 2. Everybody loves Mama's.
What's your biggest investment? More than likely, it's your home. So treat it that way when you hire a painting contractor. With PBS Painting, there are no gimmicks, no $99 specials. Just quality painting and someone who treats your home with the same respect that you do. At PBS Painting, we have been painting for years and look forward to many more years to come. With PBS Painting, the job gets prepped properly, whether it's cleaning, scraping, or priming. We always use quality products, which is a must for a quality paint job. So if you're looking for a painter that doesn't need upfront money and is on the job at all times, then please give me a call. Scott Bowers and PBS Painting, 294-5122. That's PBS Painting, 294-5122. Look at some of our work on Facebook at PBS Painting Montgomery.
We've all been caught up in the little chores that pile up every day. The dishes in the sink, the trash that needs taking out, the pesky check, and a little change can go a long way when you escape every day at Wing Creek Casino and on the Casinoverse app.
This hour of News and Views is brought to you by our good friends at Cole Plumbing, 279-8919. Cole Plumbing is number one in the number two business. You don't have to dig a hole. They have proprietary pipelining technology. Ask them about their tankless water heaters. Remember, when you have trouble with your bowl, call on Cole.
Rich Thomas Weather, a service of Riverside Chevrolet Wetumpka. If it's Chevy, it's Riverside. Best price, best selection. Check them out on the web at riversideusa.net.
Rich Thomas Weather.
Well, hi, everybody. No big changes in our forecast. The heat and humidity are still in place with the risk of some strong storms fueled by this heat. Today's actual high temperature in the low to mid-90s, but triple-digit heat indices again, and a generous supply of showers and storms, especially this afternoon and this evening, some possibly severe with damaging wind gusts the main threat. Our weather app will keep you on top of the action. Low tonight in the mid-70s. Tomorrow and Thursday, more scattered random storms. We'll be in the mid-90s again both days, and triple-digit heat indices will remain. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
For the lowest prices around on flooring and DIY flooring installation supplies, Budget Floors and More is your new best friend. Luxury vinyl plank, carpet, ceramic tile, floor installation supplies, and more with prices lower than the big box stores. Budget Floors and More, Hunter Lane across from Del Rey Publix.
On FM, on your smartphone, and online, the River Region's most trusted voice. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Welcome back to News and Views in the afternoon. For those of you watching on the live stream, you can see that I have come prepared. Not only do I have my trusty paddle that is oversized, it could really hurt somebody. Actually, might be a little unruly to wield there, but not used to something that big. But I also have my plastic folding chair, should anybody cause trouble here in the studio. And given I'm all alone, maybe I'll just have to hit myself in the head if I misbehave. 272-9228. Now, as promised, we have here, a presentation I would like to do. This is, an A-B test. First, we're going to play the United States Senate Republicans. They've put out a brand new message, I guess, talking about getting America back on track. Let's judge this, then we'll judge the Trump War Room ad.
The country is headed in the wrong direction. Senate Republicans have solutions to get America back on track. We're ready to secure the border by restarting wall construction and ending the incentives that feed the crisis.
Yeah.
We must protect our communities from the deadly flow of drugs and human trafficking. As Biden and Democrats bow to aggression from communist China, Senate Republicans are ready to strengthen America and hold China accountable. We must control our supply chain, stop China from spying and stealing, and ban China from purchasing American farmland. And with Americans struggling to afford Biden's economy, Senate Republicans are committed to making life more affordable for every American. That means spending less, reducing the stranglehold of Washington bureaucrats, and unleashing American energy. Join Senate Republicans as we work to get America back on track.
How inspiring. I mean, you just gave a list of policy stuff that I'm sure the Republican faithful don't disagree with, but it just... nerds. It comes across as written by nerds. Now, Senator Britt looked great there in some of the shots of her down at the border. What, she did 3 or 4 times there in her first year in the Senate. But yeah, it's fine. It's not the worst thing in the world, but it's just fine. It feels tired. The messaging feels very tired. So let's now go to and compare. I haven't watched this one yet. This is from the Trump War Room. And let's see what they have to throw down, their style of putting out an ad against Biden in this moment.
How far will the most corrupt president in history go to keep Republicans from winning back the White House? Meet the cast of unscrupulous accomplices he's assembled to get Trump. Alvin Bragg, the radical liberal New York prosecutor who refuses to prosecute violent criminals. Jack Smith, who's made a career persecuting innocent Republican officials. Letitia James, the socialist who ran on the promise, "I'll go after Trump." And Biden's newest lackey, Atlanta DA, Fonnie Willis. So incompetent, on her watch, violent crimes had exploded. So tainted, Willis was thrown off one case for trying to prosecute a political opponent. So corrupt, Willis got caught hiding a relationship with a gang member she was prosecuting. So dishonest, Willis was accused of creating a fake subpoena. Welcome to the Fraud Squad.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
Yeah, slightly different tone. Here's the big difference, folks, from watching the Senate Republicans and then that Trump ad. Is Trump's team, and they do this as well as anybody else, did they really talk the issues there? No. They laid out, here are Donald Trump's enemies, political enemies. And so let's personalize it, and let's make that person suspect and controversial. Whereas the Senate Republicans focused more and more on policy issues. Which, again, as much as folks say, oh, let's talk the issues, fine, I can do that. But I don't think that's what gets the average bear riled up. So you could say, hey, it's more cerebral if you actually talk about the issues in detail. You marshal the best arguments and the best arguments that represent a certain point of view. And then you figure it out through rough and tumble debate. Yeah, but that's not how it works. Sadly, I wish it did. I think what works is, well, what the Trump War Room was putting out. Again, in post-persuasion America, it's not about converting the faithless to your cause. It's about already preaching to the, well, already faithful, who are already down with your cause. And argument has long been thrown out the window. It's now become, personal. Personal controversies, personal scandals, personal slights, and personal support and love. This is where we're at in America in 2023. How we survive out of this? Well, we always seem to pull it off as a nation, but the future is not exactly clear. Which, as I've been saying, you could take as a ominous thing, or you can embrace, well, this revolutionary moment and actually, well, enjoy this upcoming year. 272-9228. And now one story I want to get to real quick that I didn't have time to cover yesterday. Over 500 parents, kids, attend Moms for Liberty event in Madison. Now, the reason this is news is because, well, for a time, it seemed like this wasn't going to happen. That the Moms for Liberty event would be canceled. But it turns out, no, that just encouraged folks to show up more. So despite some last-minute scheduling drama and a large crowd of protesters, Emily Jones with the Madison County Moms for Liberty said the reading event in Madison on Saturday could not have gone any better. It went absolutely perfect. God showed out today, Jones told 1819 News. The day started off more chaotic as parents and kids anxious to attend the See You at the Library event started to gather outside the Madison Public Library hours before it began. Joining them, Jones said, were a large group of protesters. It was just being thrown in the fire because that many people were already there before 9 o'clock. Once the event started, it took just 10 minutes to reach the maximum capacity of 225 people. The rest were directed to the Rock Church nearby to play games, read, and wait for Kirk Cameron and Riley Gaines, the event's featured guests, to stop by. Jones said that they had over 500 people show up between the church and the library for the event. That's not counting protesters, which she said tried to block from her mind. There were rumors of eggs being thrown and just very obscene comments being made. Despite it all, the police were awesome. They were everywhere keeping everybody safe. Jones said the positive response from the attendees was overwhelming, and many thanked her and her group for not backing down when the library tried to cancel the event. It was an awesome event. We had a huge turnout. I cannot even tell you how many people came up to me or my board or my volunteers and thanked us and said thank you for everything you're doing. Thank you for standing firm. Thank you for fighting back. Well, that's a good sign. And actually, the guest we had on earlier, James Lindsay, I know he has been a big defender and worked with Moms for Liberty, as well as other freedom groups, folks that actually want to inject parental rights and parental control over the education system. And for that, they've been labeled, extremist, as has James by the SPLC. One of these days, I'll get that label, though I'm sure they won't investigate it, and they'll just be bigoted about it. 272-9228, or they'll draw conclusions that just, well, it's your job to draw them, right? 272-9228. How about this? Let's hit this quick break. Hopefully have Ray Bowles on the other side.
Want to carry News Talk in your pocket? Download the News Talk 93.1 app from the App Store. Available on iPhone and Android. Never miss a moment. Download now.
Looking for insurance, or maybe you're just not satisfied with your current carrier? How does quality coverage with local service and competitive rates sound to you? The folks at Stark Agency offer just that. Whether you need insurance for your business, car, home, or life, Stark Agency can help. As an independent insurance agency with over 20 of the top insurance carriers, Stark is sure to find the perfect match for you and your loved ones. Visit their site at starkagency.com or give them a call at 334-263-5535 for a quote today.
This hour of News and Views is brought to you by our good friends at Cole Plumbing, 279-8919. Cole Plumbing is number one in the number two business. You don't have to dig a hole. They have proprietary pipelining technology. Ask them about their tankless water heaters. Remember, when you have trouble with your bowl, call on Cole.
When news happens, you'll hear about it first. The River Region's most trusted voice. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Welcome back, folks, to News and Views in the afternoon. I'm your host, Joey Clark. Let's quickly go to Ray Bowles from Prattville Carpet, then we'll get to Jim. Hey, Ray, how you doing?
Man, it was great seeing you guys the other night at that rally.
Oh, it really was a lot of fun. You know what's funny is I recognize you, but you and Eddie Bader didn't recognize each other wearing suits.
No, not at all. Because we talk daily, but we've actually never met face to face.
Wow.
And so yeah, that was great putting an actual face to somebody I talk to on a daily basis. And I'll be honest, I was tired. I didn't want to be there. It's been a long week. I'm so glad I was able to be there and listen to him.
Yeah, it was a good night, and it felt like we were in the middle of something bigger than us.
And the other thing that I took out of it is, I was dead tired, and normally I would have fallen asleep. I was on the edge of my seat and listened to every word that man said. He can keep an audience like I've never seen.
Yeah, and how he'll shift gears if he can. Yeah, he's always playing off the crowd. It is a talent for sure.
And to me, absolutely the best thing. See, now, Mama, if you know my Mama, she's a Baptist as Baptist can be. She doesn't use foul language, doesn't drink, never smokes. But she loves first of Donald Trump, and when he was talking about the SOB was going to run against me, she thought that was the best part of the night.
Well, there you go. Some people can get away with it, and you still. I'm sorry.
He can get away with it.
You still in the carpet business?
We are slinging so much carpet, it's not even funny right now. 3 more days. I told Angie, if she don't divorce me in the next 3 days, we can survive anything.
Well, good luck with that. And if folks, you want to add to their busy schedule, 285-8117, that's still the number for Prattville Carpet, 285-8117. And be sure to tell them you heard Ray Bowles here on News and Views in the afternoon.
Guys, have a great day.
Appreciate it, Ray. Let's go to Jim. Hey, Jim.
Good afternoon. Playing off that, I had Ray come out about 3 years ago and put carpet in my house, and man, it looks just as great as it did when he put it in. Did a great job.
Yeah, they have a great service and great product there.
And I had Ted come out and do it. You know, I mean, give me the old. Terry's a good guy.
Oh, Terry's awesome.
Real quick on that meeting up there in Birmingham and Madison there about the library. You know, that was neat. You know, I don't know if you read the article, Joey, the woman that led the opposition, what a piece of trash. I mean, to get out there and I hope this woman's family's real proud of her if she's a mother to use the F word and other trashy things she said. How disgusting. That shows you what the opposition will do.
Oh, yeah.
People, they can't stand people. They don't want to hear about people trying to do the right thing.
And honestly, Jim, I've never understood the whole protest, counter-protest thing. Seems like, for me personally, a waste of my precious time.
Yeah, but hey, you didn't happen to see my son there Friday night? He's the chairman of the Baldwin County Republican Party, and
I don't know if we've crossed paths.
Yeah, I know you probably. He sent me some pictures of him and his wife there at the dinner, and. He said that thing that came out in the news about the Montgomery, Mr. Reed's buddy there, claiming they were doing something to affect the elections. And my son said that is a bunch of bull. He said they do not get involved in stuff like that at all. So he said, I don't know where that came from.
Well, I think it's an effective campaign strategy. You get out the vote by saying Donald Trump and Tommy Tuberville and those extremist Republicans are trying to influence your city. It's an effective way to get the vote out.
Well, I'm glad you got to go. That was it looked like they had a big crowd there. And
2,700 people, and I think it was more like 3,000 with the whole overflow.
Yeah, that was good, man. We were all over the news. Fox, Newsmax was the only mainstream media that carried it.
Really?
I have to give them some kudos. Yeah, Newsmax carried the whole thing from beginning to end. Even had Tuberville and all that. Had the whole thing. None of them else. Even Fox did not cover it.
Well, that's a shame. But, well, I appreciate it, Jim.
All right, Joe. You have a good one.
You too. You're on there. Who's this?
Hey, this is Sam. I just wanted to say I saw the press conference earlier, and Joey, once again, man, you got the scoop on this story in a big way, and it sure was good to hear it. But I keep wondering to myself, so where is the pontoon boat impound lot? You know, that sounds like something you'd borrow your buddy's boat, take the family out, and get arrested and get it impounded. Anyway, it's going to be it's going to be expensive, but I don't think you can read too much into it. Just some dumbasses that sell them at a showdown. That's the way they roll and sell.
And what's remarkable, Sam, is kind of blowing my hair back. Maybe that's why it looks so good today. With Twitter or X and Facebook combined, over 100,000 people have now at least watched for a second or two that interview we did with the captain.
Joe, listen, I'll be one here shortly. I had a little phone trouble earlier, but as you can tell, I got it all taken care of. Thank you, bro, for being there. Enjoyed the show.
Thanks, Sam.
Out here.
Well, I guess I'll be back tomorrow, as usual, kicking off the show with Jeff Poor. And we'll be trying to bring on more and more guests as the weeks move ahead. A lot of candidates we're going to bring in. And look forward to more discussions with them. But y'all stay tuned, because I'm done. But Greg Budell with Happy Hour with the lovely and talented Rosie Brockwell. They're next.